party sound noises. So, yeah. See, there you go. All right. Should we do this? I mean,
All right.
No better time than the present. We're not getting. We're not getting any more sober. How about we put it that way?
No, dude. I'm 2 beers and half a glass of whiskey in, so it's only downhill from here, baby.
All right, everybody. So I am Justin Woods, and this is the Woodscast. I was pretty sure I was going to fuck that up and call it the Purple Report, but I did not. I'm sure I'll do it again at some point. But I'm Justin Woods, and with me, as always, through the magic of the interwebs, is Shay Woods. We've known each other since the moment he was born.
I've done my best to make up for it, but you need to get mad at Mom about that.
I know.
Me. I didn't bring me into this world.
All right, so let's do a little recap for those of you who, if you're listening to this, I have to assume that you were a listener to the Purple Report. I would be really surprised if you stumbled upon this now. And as we talked about before, it was Shay and Jay and I, and then we just went to Shay and I because Jay didn't want to do a podcast anymore, especially not one about politics. It was kind of burning him out.
Which is completely understandable.
Oh yeah, and we were. I think we were very good about not putting him on the spot as much as we probably could have about the fact that of the three of us, he did vote for Donald Trump, and we could have just thrown so much shit his way. But there definitely was a lot of what the fuck, Jay, and yeah. So
we were not so good at not being annoying drunks.
Oh, we're never good at that. That was not going to change whether his politics were his politics or not. That wasn't going to change at all. But yeah, so Jay wanted to step away from the podcast, so we just made it Shay and I. We're gonna. I bet you he would love it if we did it all about the Marvel Cinema Universe. He loves that shit. Big fan of that. Our friend Jay. So we just made it the two of us. We're gonna call it the Woodscast. Since we decided on that name, I have been absolutely face fucked with people telling me better names they think.
What suggestions have you gotten?
I got Lost in the Woods.
See, people say that to me too, and I don't get it.
I don't like the idea of people being lost in me.
Yeah, the inference is there's penetration, and that is not part of my platform.
No. Now, one of them, Rachel, wanted it to be the Bear Den with Shay and Justin.
That sends a mixed message.
Right, that's what I said. I said, we have nothing against, the LGBTQ lifestyle, but that's not the type of podcast we're throwing out there. So a lot of people would come there and be like, these guys are just talking about video games and fucking politics. When are they going to start talking about being bears? Whatever.
No, never. Did Rachel mention the conversation I had with her where I thought she said the beer den?
Yeah.
Okay. So that I doubt she was confused. I doubt she listens to me much, but enough to be confused. But
right. No, the beer den.
I'll honestly, it was not until I talked to you and I was like, that's what that word is.
The beer den would have been good, but we don't really talk about beer. We pound a lot of it. This is probably the only podcast you're going to listen to on the interwebs that has to take an Uber home. Definitely not allowed to operate heavy equipment or motor vehicles after we do this.
Accurate. And I have not eaten since lunch. So
I got a little snack before. Since you were going to be a little later, I ate something, so I'm good to go.
But I have not. Yeah. So gear up, big shifter.
Yeah. No, I've totally done that one. Like, when it was the three of us, like, I get home, I'm like, well, I could eat something or I could just pound 6 beers and see how it goes. And then usually I'd end up with a very hurty head the next day.
Yep.
So, what's the other one I've heard? The other one was To the Woodshed.
I get it, I guess.
There's a connotation we're gonna beat somebody, I guess. I don't know. It's kind of weird.
I don't know. The other thing. There's just a lot of puns in there with our last name, I guess.
Woodslandia.
Woodslandia. That's too much.
Yeah,
Can't do that. That does roll off the tongue.
I would like to tell everybody that just doesn't respect our creative genius to fuck off. Okay.
That is true.
We took our last name and we slapped cast on the back of it.
Yeah. But what do we do?
It's us.
And it rolls off the tongue. Woodscast.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Woodscast, everyone. You can't do that with any of those other names.
No. But it's just basically going to be the Brothers Woods here shouting into the ether. And God help us if the ether shouts back, because then we're just fucked.
Now, every now and then you'll stare into the void and the void stares back. So how you handle it is what makes you a true success. But we also will probably have a rotating cast of dummies coming on here. I know
yeah.
I've got a lot of friends with opinions that are uninformed and drink a lot as well. So I'll say they would love to come on and talk to us about it. So that, there's a few people that listen to this every week. They're like, I could do that. I'm like, yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah.
The entry level for is exceedingly low.
Like I was talking, we've talked about this before, Shay. Like one of the things we do on this podcast is recommend better podcasts.
Yes,
and and one of them that I always I was tickled about is Pod Save America, which is like probably one of the biggest podcasts in the nation right now, like right behind Joe Rogan or anything. They've got an HBO special coming up, should be fun. I mean, it's just they're all guys that had worked in the Obama administration in one form or the other. And now they do a podcast about politics, and they call it a no bullshit discussion about the current politics of the day. And at one of their shows, they're like, yeah, if you you want to do a career change, get yourself a mic and then just shout opinions into it. It's what we do. It's like, there you go.
There you go. I'm still waiting for those sponsors. I'm sure they're going to come rolling in any minute now.
Well, Miller Lite, if you're listening, we'd love for you to throw us some beers. Shay, I think, drinks, what is it, Pike Creek?
I drink Pikes Creek whiskey, and right now I have a lovely 1554 from New Belgium Brewing. And also, anyone from the farm listening, send me your dank nugs. I need them. They need me. Or Boulder Botanics, if you happen to stumble across it. You know who I am. You know how much money I spend there. I deserve free medicine.
Right. Right. Okay. Yeah. I think really people that we don't know sending us alcohol and drugs is the probably a step
they call
in
that trafficking?
Yeah, trafficking.
Something like that, yeah.
I call it Tuesday. All right, so let's do a little bit of housekeeping here. We've changed over everything to the Woodscast. The Purple Report is not going to show up on iTunes or what the fuck's the other one, Shay? Google Play, because I didn't want to have to pay for another RSS feed. So if you want to listen to the old episodes of the Purple Report, that'll stay up on Twitter and YouTube. And of course, SoundCloud, you could go there. They're just back in the list. So from here on out, all of our things that you want to catch the Woodscast on will be your Twitters, your Facebook, SoundCloud. I just blanked. iTunes and Google Play. Most of those are places Alex Jones is not allowed to do business, so that makes me very happy.
We have a more successful podcast than Alex Jones at this point.
Right. Well, I mean,
yes.
I want to talk about old Mr. Jones here later, but he
shocked.
Yeah, huh?
Shocked you're going to talk about Alex Jones.
I fucking love that guy. He's great. If he dies tomorrow, I won't miss a minute of sleep, but whatever. So you can find the old ones there. Place I mentioned, all the the Woodscast will be thrown out the way we do it before. Okay, so where are we today, Shay? What is today? Today is Monday, October 10th.
Oh, 8th. Not even
8th?
Close.
Damn it. I just looked at my calendar.
You and me both, buddy.
I know, and we still fucked it up. All right, so it's Monday, October 8th. We are the 627th day of the Trump administration. We have 29 days until the midterm right now. It's been 119 days since the Trump administration solved the North Korea crisis, and they still have all their fucking nukes. A little bit of polling. I like to check Gallup because I throw that out there every Monday. Right now, Trump is hovering at 43% approval. 538 has him at 42.6% approval. And in the Gallup thing, he's never gone higher than 45 and never lower than 35. So it's just one straight fucking line with some squiggles in it as far as Gallup's concerned. And have you been following the 538 House and Senate podcast at all?
Yes and no. I when I think I check it, but I don't regularly check it just because I don't know. I just don't. The message seems to generally stay the same, which is the Democrats could probably take the House, the Senate maybe, but probably not.
Right. Yeah. That's in layman's terms. That's exactly what's going on here. So the House forecast from 538 is 73.5% chance the Democrats will take the House, and the Senate, I'm sorry, is 21.1% chance that the Democrats will take the Senate. And those numbers have actually gone a little bit in the Republicans' favor since this whole Kavanaugh kerfuffle. But nothing big shift. It's just separated a little bit. Speaking of other podcasts you should be listening to, 538 has a podcast, right?
Oh, it's fantastic.
Yeah, they have a really great one. And first of all, Nate Silver doesn't sound anything like Nate Silver on the podcast. Like, whenever he's on TV, first of all, he looks like a guy that did not know he was going to be on TV. It looks like
that's true. That's very accurate.
You startled him and then threw him on a set and said, talk about polls. And he's like, oh, okay, well, the model predicts. Yeah. But on the podcast, he's like laid back and he's like talks about getting a couple beers. Like when he finished the model, he's like, oh, I'm going to go get drunk. I've been up for like 2 days. Yeah. And, there was really one day that when they got the model out, they were like, so how many more of these elections do you have to call correctly before everybody stops giving you shit about 2016? He's like, oh, never. Like,
yeah, never.
Yeah. He's like, people will fuck with me until the day I die about that. I was like, yep.
I'm super good at math, as you know. And,
statistics isn't my thing either. Like,
no, but yeah. I remember looking at the model the election night, and it wasn't. People act like Donald Trump had no chance at all, which really wasn't true. It was like I think it was always between like 30 and 40%.
Right.
Which is a shot. Like It wasn't that he had no chance. It's that he had like a 30 or I feel like the llast time I really looked at it, it was like around 35%. Like if this, and this happened, then he would win. Like, and that's more or less what happened.
Right.
Like it was never like he has no chance. Now I know a lot of people felt like he had no chance, which is a very different discussion.
Oh yeah. A lot of people were polling their gut, and their gut said no fucking way.
They said this guy sucks.
Yeah. This guy's a tool. There's no way. And that's why I love to look at these percentages and these chances. Because just like you said, Donald Trump had like a 1 in 3 chance of pulling it off, and he just had to hit a certain path of dominoes, and that was going to work out for him, and he did that. And one of the things people forget is he didn't win the popular vote. Like, I don't give a shit what Donald Trump says and what his supporters say. Like, that's one of my big pet peeves. Like, Jay and I would always talk about optics. And Jay's like, well, it's just optics. Like, no, it's a fucking fact. Like, he did not win the popular vote. And so when you're arguing with somebody who supported Trump, they go, well, I mean, he won the popular vote. He has a mandate. Like, that's where I just fucking either unplug, walk away, and drown myself in my alcohol, or I just go ballistic. Because, like, why are you talking to that person then if they're not going to even entertain the fact that you're like, no, fucking Google it. Like, on your phone that you're looking at cat pictures, just Google it, But,
I've never had anybody seriously claim he won the popular vote. But I would imagine the demographics of the people I've interacted with in the last 2 years or so are a lot different than the ones that you've dealt with. Like, being where I'm at, I'm less than 40 miles from Denver. So,
right.
And so that, hard swing into the blue there. I've never heard anybody say that, but I don't doubt it. Because I know for years, months, he was saying that he had won the popular vote. It was all fake votes. I'm going to want to make this committee, and we're going to look into voter fraud. And it just kind of went away.
It kind of went away after they found there was no fucking voter fraud. And Chris Kobach, who is running for governor, I think Chris Kobach won the Republican nomination for Kansas governor. He was under contempt of court because he yanked something like 200,000 people, might have been more, like 500,000, like a sizable chunk of people's voting rights away because he said they were illegally voting and all this other bullshit. And the Supreme Court was like, no, you fucking aren't allowed to do that. And they held him in contempt of court. Like, it was a big debacle. Like, he went in there and just got his ass handed to him in the Supreme Court trying to argue this stuff. But one of the things people forget, since we're talking about the 2016 election, is that it was literally, people say 80, but it was about 78,000 votes sprinkled between Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and Michigan is what did it.
Yeah.
Like Donald Trump wants to go, like he says that, like, and I believe we're going to have a podcast with our buddy Corey Dennison about the Electoral College and all that good stuff, like whether we should go to the popular vote or not. We need to do that here in a couple of weeks leading up to the midterm. But like he talks about going for the popular vote, and he would have fucking lost that hands down. Like the Democrats always run up the numbers in places like California and New York, but it doesn't you don't get any extra electoral college votes for doing that.
No.
So that 80,000 votes that got him the electoral college votes in those 3 states would have just been obliterated by a popular vote. And
oh yeah, no, most definitely. I'm not gonna lie here. I don't. On the surface, I do not like the electoral college, and I say that probably but A, because of the results it's gotten me, and B, I honestly don't know a ton about the history of it. And that's kind of one of those things where I'm hesitant to make a comment because I honestly, as much as I've read about dumb shit online and how Godzilla suits were produced through the 70s, I couldn't tell you more about the electoral college. I haven't looked into it.
Hey man, everybody has to have their wheelhouse, okay?
Yeah.
And I'm not an expert on the electoral college either. Some of the people that we want to rotate in through here on the podcast are going to be some of our people that are purveyors of law. They probably know a little bit more about it than we do. But from what I understand, it's a holdover from slavery. And it's some kind of jerry-rigging that was done with slavery that's stuck around to today. Most of the research I've seen about it lately have been people bitching about how people campaign. So they want to go to a popular vote so that people don't always just go to Florida, Ohio, and California or whatever. The states that have a larger than not electoral college count, and then just ignore the West Virginias and the Kentuckys for the most part that have 3 or 6.
Yeah.
But my immediate answer to that is they'll still do that because those states still have large population centers. People are still going to go to Cincinnati, Ohio, and campaign because there's a lot of people in Cincinnati. You don't have to go anywhere else in Ohio. Then you just go to Cincinnati, and same thing with New York. You just go to New York. You don't campaign. It won't change much of the way people campaign because they're just looking for peoples. They want to get asses in the seats.
Yeah, I mean, and that's one of those things where I wonder if I don't know, man. It in this day and age, technology is so prevalent, and it is so easy for a presidential candidate to throw a video on YouTube and have everyone everywhere see it.
Yeah.
I don't feel like worrying about. I feel like geography, where people are physically, is mattering less and less. That's my point. So.
Oh yeah.
It's okay, yes, I get it. The president's not going to campaign in the middle of bumfuck nowhere, but he doesn't have to because everybody has a smartphone and he or she can throw whatever shit they want on their website or YouTube and get the message out. You don't have to go to every small city in the country anymore. It's not necessary.
Right. And I don't know. I don't know if you've listened to The Wilderness by John Favreau from the Pod Save America guys.
They pimp that shit a lot, but I've not sat down and listened to it.
Yeah, no, it's actually really good. For those of you who haven't listened to it, it's just John Favreau basically spelling out the story of the Democratic Party, how it was founded, how we got here, its fuck ups and achievements along the way, and then he does a pretty good deep dive into things like how the party works as opposed to the party members. And one of the things they were really bitching about was the campaign machine. So like what you were just saying, Shay, anybody can throw something up on YouTube and reach everybody, but the campaign advisors always say, well, you got to spend this much money on direct mailing ads and you got to spend this much money on TV, and it's usually because they make money if you spend money on mailing ads. And it's people that work in the direct mailing industry telling you that the best way to reach people is this thing that makes me money.
Yeah,
And,
Justin, I can't tell you I follow politics very closely, and I cannot fucking tell you the last time I paid attention to snail mail for anything from any candidate other than the fucking ballot that I get to vote.
Yeah,
I can't think of a single time I've been when Obama was running his first second term, I didn't look in the mail for shit from Obama. That was stupid. I looked online.
Now the DNC does just fucking stuff me full of stuff because every now and then I'll send them $20 or $25, and so whenever you throw them some cabbage, they will send me a sign, a quote unquote signed picture of Barack Obama and Michelle Obama, whatever, that shit comes all the time. But no, I don't open my mail and go, what do the candidates think? That shit. Yeah. Their moral of the story was you need to fucking quit that shit and spend the vast majority of your campaign resources on digital media, which makes total sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so we kind of got off on a tangent there. North Korea, we're having a second summit. Have you heard this?
Yes and no. I have not. I know there's going to be one. That's the extent of my knowledge.
Okay, so just a little recap here. Shay and I are more than tickled at the entire idea that we're having summits with North Korea, and we think we're going to get anything out of it. This is the 13th time, I think, North Korea has promised a sitting president that they would denuclearize. And, I mean, this is something, and they still have all their nukes. The new thing is that Mike Pompeo has come back from the last 3-hour meeting with Kim Jong-un, and they said that they would allow international inspectors to inspect the site where they tested the last 6 nuclear detonations. But there's a big problem with that, is that they've already destroyed that. Like, they blew that up a couple months ago.
Yeah, did they blow it up? I thought it just kind of collapsed.
Well, that was what's going to happen. They blew it up anyway because it was going to collapse. Like, they just, nuked it into fucking nowhere. So
yeah.
So that was the thing. Donald Trump has said that he has fallen in love with Kim Jong-un, which I think is hilarious.
Oh, my God. As much... God, I hate to go down this road because it's such an easy road to go down, and it's a low road. But can you imagine if Obama had said he'd fallen in love with Kim Jong-un? Hold
on.
Imagine.
Take a step back.
That would have been.
Take a step back. What if Barack Obama had said he had fallen in love with any man?
That's true. That's a good point. It would have been crazy.
Because
that's hilarious.
There is a very fervent and very alive theory on the right that Michelle Obama is a man.
Yep,
and
I've seen that.
She's got a big old swinging dong, and there's some video where she walked out of I want to say they were in New York, like she walked out of a brownstone in New York, and she was wearing a dress, and because of the way the light hit the dress, it looked like there was, she was packing, and they're like, oh, there's the dick. There it is. Like, they will play that video over and over again to spot the penis. It's hilarious. So if he would have said he was in love with anybody that was visibly looked like a man, it had been over.
Yeah, no, it would have shit. And then if it was a dictator, and if Obama had, I don't know, maybe printed his face on a coin with a dictator. Oh my God.
A coin where they got even his triple chins correct and his weird hairstyle, maybe.
That shit is creepy accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just for anyone who doesn't know, Justin and I are talking about our fantastic Trump North Korea summit coins.
Yeah.
One of the best birthday presents I've ever gotten.
You're welcome. The second that was released, I was on my laptop just trying, and that website kept crashing.
I got problems with giving the administration money like that, but then it's I pay taxes, so what the fuck's another $20?
Yeah, it was originally like 25, and they dropped it to 19. When they put it on quote unquote on sale, it's oh, I gotta get this.
It's 100 now. Shit.
Oh yeah, it spiked totally to 100, and I think even
it's a great investment.
I know. We've quadrupled our money. But the website was so shitty because so many people were trying to get that stupid fucking coin that by the time I finally got to I kept clicking add to cart, right? By the time I got to the cart, I had 87 of those motherfuckers in my cart. And I was like, wow.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
I do not need that.
Yeah, and so you edit it and you hit update, and then you just don't touch your laptop for an hour because that website was so just fucking slogged. But no, Shay and I have those summit coins. Sent one to Dad. Sent one to Corey too. I knew he'd get a kick out of it. But yeah, we're gonna have another meeting with this jackhole. Apparently, he's gonna come to New York and just get to have a good old Sex in the City experience on the government dime.
Oh man, hopefully somebody in New York just throws a cup of pee on him or something.
Oh man,
some real spits on him from a window. Hey, fuck you, buddy.
Yeah. Oh, I can only hope. Only hope. But so that just a heads up, they still have their nukes, and we gave them a sit down with the leader of the free world. So that's awesome. Okay, so you have not seen Venom.
No, sir.
You have not seen Venom. It's awesome. It's really fun. It's as poorly written as you would think.
Yeah. I've read a lot of stuff about how like the relationship between him and the symbiote is almost like goofy or cute, and I don't. I mean, I'll have to see it, but I don't know, man. You know how pissed off I am that I'm getting a Venom movie outside of the Spider-Man universe. Just in general, that chaps my balls.
Yeah, no, and that is something to talk about. Like, so
I don't know if I can get past that. That's whatever. But anyway.
Well, I think they're gonna bring it back. Like I have been a fan of Venom since like '93. Like I was walking to the comic book store. I think Lethal Protector #3 was either the second or third comic I ever bought. I just saw this. I was walking through the comic book store, and the cover is just this blue hand on a kind of armored dude, and his hand is just crushing the helmet. Like you can see the points where his fingertips are going in, and just looked badass. And I remember thinking like, oh, I don't know who that guy is, but he's fucked. And I needed to know who that who is attached to the blue hand, so I started reading Venom comics. And like I told you earlier, like I can explain away so many like things that people might be upset about in the movie because the Venom symbiote and Eddie Brock have taken on so many forms. Like, like some people were pissed off that the symbiote doesn't make up his clothes. Like it's inside him. It's not his clothes. Where in the comic, it's always his clothes. Like it's literally on the outside of him.
Yeah, but then isn't there some bullshit where like Cassidy? Like,
oh yeah,
you can have the symbiote DNA in you, and then it like comes back. I don't care about those kind of.
That was one of the things. Yeah, that was one of the things. Like at some point in the run, Venom, who is I'm sorry, Carnage, who is Venom's progeny, bonds with Cassidy on it's in his blood. The symbiote's in his blood, so they can't get it out of him. Shit like that. So yeah, but like. The whole not having Spider-Man around, that's a studio-to-studio thing. And I just have to imagine, like, there could have been a deal there. Like, they sit down at a table, be like, listen, we own this thing, you own that thing. We're going to make a movie. Let us put the symbol on his chest and shoot webs out of his wrists like, the comics make him
Does he not have the symbol in this, I assume?
No,
okay.
Because it's copyrighted and there's no mention of Spider-Man. And so like, Sony, correct me if I'm wrong here, Shay. Sony still has Spider-Man? Is that what's going on?
Yeah. No, I'm not going to pretend to understand the logistics of what the licensing agreement, but basically Marvel is allowed to produce X number of movies using the Spider-Man character. Yeah. So, I mean, there is always the potential that in another movie he encounters Spider-Man and goes, hey, that's cool, and, like, mimics him or whatever a little bit more closely. I don't know.
Or maybe...
They're definitely playing up the anti-hero story side of Venom, or at least from the trailers that I've seen. So it would make more sense to have him encounter Spider-Man, take on some attributes from Spider-Man, kind of like a kid imitating. You know what I mean? I don't know, but
he could throw the symbiote could jump on the Spider-Man for a day and a half and come back and be like, I like this look. Whatever.
Cool.
It's a studio-to-studio bullshit thing that I think like they should just sit down at a table like, yeah, listen, we got this thing, you got this thing. Let us put the symbol on his chest and make the webs out of his wrist so everybody who has been reading it since the 90s is happy. And then we promise, we'll give you 0.5% of the profits just for letting us use this one fucking, symbol.
Yeah, like I'm really going to have to read the details on that licensing agreement for Spider-Man because it confuses the hell out of me, and it bugs me that I don't know.
From what I understand is one of the reasons they wanted to make Venom PG-13, and reading articles and stuff, apparently there's about 30 minutes of some hardcore action that Tom Hardy really liked that was cut out, and the word on the street, it was cut out so that it could be PG-13. So, just as a little aside here, I'm hoping we get like a director's cut, with all that shit in it in the Blu-ray or something. That'd be great. But apparently they're already greenlit Venom 2 with Woody Harrelson as Carnage, and they're looking to make that PG-13 too, and they're wanting to fold those movies in with Spider-Man. So like 2-3 movies down the road, we're gonna fold into the Spider-Man universe, and we're gonna be back where we should have started. But, like, if you know you're going to fucking do that, just pass around the set. Like, quit being pricks about this.
I just hope it's not a situation where Sony takes the Spider-Man that Marvel has built and makes some really shitty movies with it. I'm really hoping what happens is it ends up with Venom and Carnage getting rolled into the Marvel universe the way Spider-Man was rolled into it. Like, because I'm sorry, like I've seen the Spider-Man movies that Sony makes, and so far they've been shit.
That, like, I won't turn them off just because they're on, but yeah,
No,
the Homecoming
like
is
fuck
like,
Amazing Spider-Man 2 right in its asshole. And you know, the first Amazing Spider-Man had shit I like. You know, and I guess in the first three, Sam Raimi movies were also Sony, so those are great. The first and second one of those are solid.
The second one was really good.
The second one's fucking still one of the best comic book movies ever. That sequence with Spider-Man fighting Dr. Octavius on the train is badass.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, that was really great.
But like, I really hope it can. I don't know, or at least maybe I just hope it doesn't screw it up because I fucking love Homecoming and I love the Spider-Man that Marvel set up.
Yeah, it's a good, like, that's one of the things that has always like perplexed me. Like, I have never been mad at any of the Spider-Mans, like the actors or the portrayals. Like, I've never, it's like, oh, okay, so he's Spider-Man. You know, like, you know, I think that Tom, what's his name?
Tom Holland, I believe.
Tom Holland. I think he's done the best job at portraying Spider-Man, but it doesn't mean that Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man was just like some kind of abortion, or that the other guy, I don't even know his name.
Andrew Garfield. So here's my thing.
But like, I wasn't physically mad at them, and a lot of people are.
What is it?
I'm not physically mad at any of them, and like a lot of people like have a physical disgust for like everybody except Tom Holland, and I just don't get it.
Well, it's fucking super fandom on the internet. So, bunch of fucking.
I have an internet connection. You're gonna hear everything I have to say about Spider-Man.
Bunch of neckbeards poop socking in a basement, but anyway, you know, fucking no. Here's my problem: is you got Tobey Maguire, who is an okay but not great Spider-Man. He's kind of a decent Peter Parker. He's a little older than I'd like, because I really liked Eddie of Spider-Man as like a kid, but whatever, that's immature really. And then Tom Holland is just a great, Andrew Garfield is a great Spider-Man and a really annoying Peter Parker. He's too good looking and too cool to be Peter Parker. That's why I like the new guy, because he's got that perfect balance of like, he's this nerdy, awkward kid, and then his Spider-Man, the quips and stuff, they're just done so well. So, you know, it's just bam, 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 and I think he's the best one. He takes the best aspects of both the other ones and slams them into one actor, and the fact that he's also the youngest actor to play him too, it works in his favor, I think. Yeah,
that is. No, it's I really enjoyed Homecoming, and I mean, anything you can put fucking the oh god, what's his name? First Batman.
Michael Keaton,
and
he's so good as a Vulture.
I'll fucking kill you.
I'll fucking kill you. He just that spoiler, that scene at the dance where he just produces a 45 out of nowhere and sets on the scene. He's like, let's have a talk. I was like, oh, he's so good. And that, you know, and that actually, that's one of the best reveals, is when he goes to the house and opens the door and you're like, oh shit, Spider-Man's girlfriend's dad is the Vulture.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good stuff. Can we talk just for a minute about how pumped we are for Edge of the Spider-Verse?
That came out of nowhere for me, and so far looks like it's going to be better than it should be.
Yeah.
I saw like an early screening thing, and you know, again, it was just somebody's opinion, just a blog, but basically this guy got to see the first 30 minutes of the movie, and he said that if what they've done with this is any indication, then they've learned their lesson from all their past flicks, the mistakes they've made. Like, it looks like it's going to be good, and I love that they're even getting Spider-Ham involved, which is just asinine.
Yeah.
And I can't remember who plays him, but the person playing is just a perfect person to play it. It looks great.
And how do I want to say this? How do I want to phrase this? Putting Nicolas Cage in it is fun. Gives Nicolas Cage an opportunity to just be like the weird Nicolas Cage we know he is in this weird movie. And so maybe he can like maybe pocket some of this money and not buy another pyramid or whatever, so he can, you know, not, you know, fuck up his taxes again. But yeah, like when they announced he was in it, I was like, oh man, really? And then I heard his lines. I was like, oh no, that's Nicolas. That's who we need in there.
Yeah.
Like
I forget, who does he play?
He plays Noir Spider-Man.
Oh, that's fantastic. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah. So, So if you haven't seen the trailer for Into the Spider-Verse, check that out on your YouTubes and your My Feeds and your Insta Squats or whatever the hell you guys are looking at nowadays. And it's badass. It looks really great. I was listening to another plug for a better podcast, Wizard and the Bruiser, over there on the Cave Comedy Network.
I don't know. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, Wizard and the Bruiser, and they were talking about. I think it was the Superman episodes they were talking about, and Jake had a point. He was like, at some point we really need to discuss whether or not we need to take the superhero bullshit and just make it all CG or animated. Because Into the Spider-Verse is a computer generated movie entirely.
It looks fantastic.
And it looks amazing. I mean,
and honestly, I think the actual answer to that question is absolutely 100%. Now, do I want to have a more stylized animation like Into the Spider-Verse, or I'm trying to think of a good example. Something like the movie was dog shit, but the animation was incredible. The World of Warcraft movie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, something like that. Like something that is realistically styled but still animated. I think is Jesus Christ, dude, most of Avenger is CG anyway. Like it's based if you watch that movie, it's so colorful and it's so animated with effects. It's basically an animated movie. It's like almost.
Well, remember like back in the day, not Ghost in the Shell. That's not right. Oh, damn it. It was an entirely CG movie.
Final Fantasy, The Spirits Within?
Yes, thank you.
That was one of the first real big ones where they were going for like realistic humans instead of stylized like Pixar.
And I thought that looked fine. Some people were like, "Oh, it looks too real" or whatever. Like, well, what the fuck you mean? Like,
yeah. Well, if you go back and watch it now, it looks like dog shit. But
oh yeah. It was actually wasn't even really a great movie. It was just
it was a horrible movie.
It was just amazing. It looked amazing. But no, the stylized animation of Into the Spider-Verse looks great. The World of Warcraft movie?
World of Warcraft. There was a movie. That's how bad it was, Justin. You didn't know it came in.
No. Are you talking Warcraft with like the ogres and shit?
Yes, World of Warcraft.
That wasn't animated.
Yes, it was.
No, it wasn't.
Yes, it was.
There were people in that movie.
No, but it was like.
It was just like Avengers. Like there were people acting.
No, it was there was a lot of motion cap and animation overlay, and things like that. Like it was not like a standard like person on a screen thing.
There were actors on the screen.
No, it was motion capture and CG overlay.
I'm calling bullshit on that.
Let's look it up right now. Let's see here.
Everybody listen to the loudest keyboard in the continental United States.
Let's see here.
They're just actors.
Well, I'm not saying there's not actors, but this was not like a this was not a movie that was like a standard film, like not a set. It wasn't like you had people on a set. It was like 90% animated with a lot of.
Well, then that's Avengers. Like you're splitting hairs here.
No, I'm not. You're disagreeing with me. I'm saying this is exactly what you need. That's why it needs to look like that. Like if you take a look at the ogres in the Warcraft movie, it looks so good. There's no reason to not just do this style with.
Oh, okay. I get you. Yeah. No, like I would consider Warcraft like basically Avengers 4, except a lot shittier. Like it's just all CG and green screens and like I think whatever ground the actor is standing on is the only thing that's actually real that's fucking shot and seen.
I mean and that's kind of where we're headed with a lot of stuff, because there's a lot of patents in the pipe for fully CG actors, and I mean that's even something there's some movie that deals with that, where it's about a woman who sells her likeness to a company to use it as a CG actress, and they do whatever they want with it, and you can't tell the difference between the actress and the effect. Like there's no difference, and it's gonna get there.
Oh yeah. So that's cool. We're looking forward to that. Into the Spider-Verse is gonna be fun. Have you heard Todd McFarlane just into comic books right now? Talking about his new Spawn reboot.
I hear that. I hear it every couple
years.
Every couple of years he's talking about his new
It's
Spawn
decade.
movie.
He's been talking about decades now.
Yeah, and it was kind of like that. That was the road he took to get his first Spawn movie made, and the last I heard, it was going to be this thing where like Spawn wasn't something you actually saw, more as like was a force in the background and in the shadows, and it wouldn't be like your typical like following Spawn as a character thing. You would be following something else, and you'd see Spawn doing things in the background that were related. It sounded really stupid, to be honest with you. I think that's ridiculous, but I don't know where it's at now.
Well, he talked at Comic-Con, and he says that he's the reboot is going to be scary. It's going to be R-rated. He wants it to make kids cry. If he wants
Todd
to make
McFarlane says a lot of shit.
Oh my god. One of the best quotes I've ever heard was on that Wizard and Bruiser was they described Todd McFarlane's accent as Jersey Canadian.
Yep. That's fun. I've watched a lot of interviews with him, and I could never. That's a pretty accurate description.
Yeah, and but if he wants to make kids cry, he should have them watch the 1997 movie Spawn, because that was fucking brutal.
Yeah, it's not good.
It's not good.
I will say this to this day, I fucking love John Leguizamo as the clown. It's great. I love it.
He went all in. Like he didn't like he wasn't
fun.
like, wait a minute, so I'm gonna play this demonic clown that is really a demon called the Violator, but to interact with humans I am this 3 foot tall obese clown. Alright, I'm in. He just fucking ran with it.
That movie is so ridiculous, and there's stuff about it I like. Like even the scene where he turns into the Violator, and there's the big, physical puppet of the Violator there that smacks Spawn and knocks him off the building. It's pretty interesting. But for every neat shot like that, there's about 100 shots like the end where he's facing off in hell, and it's some of the worst CG shit you've ever seen. Like even by the standards of when it came out in like 97 or 98, I remember in theaters thinking that doesn't look good.
Like PlayStation would have been like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, it looked like a PlayStation cutscene. That I think that's what. Yeah, it wasn't great, but hopefully the new one's good.
Well, and he's lined up some really good actors for the new one. His whole premise, like you said, is that Spawn will be a force that they can't interact, like they can't physically, like I don't want to say physically deal with, like they don't like talk to Spawn and like, hey, quit doing that. Like Spawn is a force. The way McFarlane describes it is like Jaws. And I'm with you.
I don't know if I like that, because Spawn is a character though. Like it's a dude. He's got like the vices and problems and sweet chains that shoot out and do shit. I don't know.
Well, and the thing is and again, full disclosure, I'm a huge fan of Spawn. I have collected all of the Spawns that have been released since 1992. Like it's awesome. Like I love the character. I have all of them. I have boxes and boxes of fucking Spawn comics in the basement. You could do that story, and you could do it well. All you have to do is look to The Crow, which was released about the same time as the Spawn movie. Like,
yeah, I can see that.
That's a revenge story that was told beautifully with an amazing actor. You just have to tweak it a little bit, and I mean, you just do that. Just don't go fucking, don't just go tits up and make Spawn Jaws or something. Like, I mean, if he puts a fin on his head, I think I'll cry. I
don't know. We'll see. We'll have to see. And I guess I don't remember how much involvement McFarlane had with the first one.
He didn't direct it.
No. But I guess my point is I've already had one Spawn movie and it wasn't very good.
Yeah.
And the MCU is pretty all right these days. So a Spawn movie's really gonna have to knock it out of the park. And that's not going to be something that. I'm going to be comparing it to every other comic movie that's come out since the first Spawn movie. So,
yeah, it's going to be rough. We'll just see where it goes. Again, Todd McFarlane has been talking about this since 1998.
Yeah,
nothing's fucking come of it. So, speaking
there's
of
that
movies,
cool scene where his cape covers a motorcycle. Anyway, go ahead.
Well, there's a lot of really good scenes where you're standing on top of the cross on top of the church and the entire capes just like fucking floating everywhere. I mean they took a lot of images from the comic and made them right there on the screen, but then
It's just not a good movie.
Yeah, the instant before and the instant after that, you're like, good goddamn, this is horrible.
Yeah.
You know? Like they introduced Angela, you know, the angel, spawn hunter. Like she walks through a scene. They don't fucking do anything with that at all, you know? Yeah. I don't know, whatever. I mean, we could bust on the 97 Spawn all day long. Speaking of old movies that are awesome, though, Shay and I have, since we last recorded Purple Report, we saw the Transformers in theaters for the first time.
Oh, man, that was so much fun. It's a little weird that it's the original cut without the restored anime. Like, that's real strange, because we had talked about this, Justin, but, for those who, I don't know, are dead on the inside and have never seen this movie, it's there's some remastered cuts that look fucking incredible. And the cut that was shown in theaters was the original version, which is fine for authenticity, but it's got some really weird shit going on with the animation in certain spots, and it's really noticeable. And I wasn't sure which cut it was until, like, there's one specific scene where something on, like, Rodimus's Prime chassis, like, just kind of flicks from one side to the other and back. And I was like, that was bad.
There's some sequences where the timing of the animation will speed up then slow down. Like one of the sequences I remember is like Unicron's like eating a moon or something, and like his maw like opens, then shuts real quick, and then opens and like shuts a little bit slower, then open. Like there's just this herky jerky motion to the animation. Now it's all like vibrant and colorful as fuck.
I had forgotten how colorful that movie was.
Yeah, it's the animation in the 1996. I'm sorry, 1986. Transformers the movie is really great. And
that entire intro sequence where Unicron eats that planet is just cool.
Oh yeah,
it's so cool. And then you've got this really very very elaborately animated sequence where he eats this planet, and then like his little ring on the outside powers up, and he floats. And after all the drama, it's just dead silence as he floats into space. And then that badass hair metal cover scene kicks in. It's so good.
Yeah, there's this strange, like, whenever Unicron's powered up, there's just this strange, like, whoa sound.
I
and
don't
like,
understand that noise.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just like he opens his maw and shoots out light and goes, whoa, and then like Shay was saying, like the outer rings of his planet mode light up because he's fully charged, and then it's just like just dead space, and then you hear like Transformers.
It's so good.
Oh yeah, I was so hammered drunk.
It's just so much fun. Still a tearjerker to watch Optimus die. But spoilers, I think he comes back in like season 3 of the show or some shit.
Yeah. Oh, he comes back twice. He comes back season 3. They put him back to death, and then he comes back later and like flies the Ark into a fucking Quintesson base or whatever. Yeah, all of you kids out there listening, I hope you're not listening because I've said fuck about 14 times already. This is listed as explicit, so that's bad parenting on whoever let you listen to this.
That's true.
FYI. Yeah.
Blame the parents, not the media.
Yeah. If you're out there complaining, and I've already said this to one kid that's like 10, if you're out there complaining at the end of Infinity War like bums you out, fuck right the fuck off. Because I was 6. I was 6, and I had to watch Optimus Prime die. So y'all just buck up, buttercups, because I don't give a shit.
And here's the thing, like, anyone who's into the Avengers and Marvel Universe, even that pays half attention to this shit, knew a bunch of people were going to get the axe at the end of Infinity War. That's the point.
Yeah.
And if but and I didn't see the Transformers '86 version until I was much older, so it didn't really matter. But my understanding was when that happened originally in theaters, people were caught the fuck off guard.
Oh yeah,
nobody expected that, and that I know Peter Cullen said specifically when he would run into fans in the he would get like yelled at by parents that recognized his voice because they killed Optimus Prime and they had this inconsolable 5-year-old.
Yeah, people are apparently writing into I believe it was Marvel at the time that owned the comics and was writing into the production companies and be like, "You broke my kid."
Yeah, what are you doing?
And it's like, yeah, And and the companies had their own reasons. Like they had to kill off the season 2 toy line so they could release new fucking toys.
Rodimus Prime toys pretty sweet.
It is pretty badass. All right. Well, we spent like almost an hour talking about fucking comics and Transformers. Let's talk about some serious shit. As serious as Alex Jones ever gets. Alex Jones, we talked about this before, but Alex Jones has been cut off from PayPal, and that's hilarious.
Somebody had told me now.
Hey Shay, wait a minute. Do you have a PayPal account?
I sure do.
I have one.
Yeah.
So guess what?
Yeah,
that's
great.
one more thing we're allowed to do that Alex Jones isn't.
Fantastic. We'll put it on the board.
Yeah. Fuck you.
That was me
Alex
putting
Jones.
a thumbtack in the board. The board is metaphorical, but in my head it's I write it down and I put a thumbtack on a cork board and it goes.
Okay, this is an audio medium, Shay, so they can't see you making your
I need you to take the journey with me, Justin.
All right, I'm there. We're going.
All right,
we're going.
Yeah, all right. Anyway, go ahead.
All right, so Alex Jones is going to sue PayPal now. Now, Alex Jones talks about suing a lot of people.
That's true. He gets sued a lot too.
Well,
he's real good. Lawsuits both ways.
Well, I think it's actually one way because Alex Jones is being sued, for those of you who haven't been keeping up, by the Sandy Hook parents for a shite ton of money, and he is likely going to lose that lawsuit because everywhere I look, people are like, yeah, he's fucked. Because he said the things he said on his radio show and his internet TV program or whatever, and then said he didn't say those things. But that's already out there in the ether, much like the words I'm saying right now that I can't take back.
That's true.
And people are showing them to him and saying, fuck you, give me money.
Yeah.
But basically he's used that for the last, I would say, that lawsuit was about 6 months ago or whatever. For the last 6 to 8 months, he's used that as a reason to say, give me money. Money me now. Money.
Money.
Yeah.
Tactical baths.
Yeah. Somebody take some brain boosts and buy a thing of butt wipes that are bulletproof and money me now so that he can fight the globalists and defend himself from all these lawsuits. PayPal cutting him off is, totally PayPal's prerogative. He is actually suing PayPal. Like, this has been reported in a lot of different things. He's trying to make a point that PayPal has discriminated against him based on his political point of view. And I
mean, and again, it comes back to I don't, PayPal is not a fucking, and this will be interesting to see how this rolls out, because I just want to throw this out there. I fucking hate PayPal. I have to use it on a day-to-day basis at my job, and it has one of the worst goddamn interfaces I have ever had to experience.
It's horrible.
Every 6 months, they add clicks to do things that took a click a month ago. It's fucking infuriating. So fuck PayPal. Anyway, that notwithstanding, it's the same thing. It's not a bank. It's not a federally regulated bank. It's a private network. Like, I don't know what argument he has that they discriminated against him, because he doesn't have a constitutional right to PayPal.
No.
Like, and if they just decide they don't want to do business with him, they don't have to do business with him. Like, literally on a daily basis, there are people in my company that I deal with that violate some terms, even if something as stupid as, customer calls in, they're angry, they yell at you, they threaten you, you lock their account, then they can't use your website anymore because they violated the terms of service. Like, it's no different than that. It's a much larger scale.
Right.
And I get it directly affects his business, but I imagine the lawsuit is just to keep his name in the headlines. Like, I don't know what he specifically did that made PayPal say we're done doing business with you, but my understanding is if it's up to the company to decide the terms of service. So if they don't want you in there, you can go fuck yourself.
Well, yeah, and I totally agree, Shay. Like, one, PayPal is horrible. Like, I use it just to keep my my financial information out of the mouths of certain websites where I buy stupid shit late at night while I'm drinking. But yeah, they have added about 11 clicks that aren't needed there, and I think you really got a good point there, where Alex Jones is just trying to keep his name in headlines, because he stated publicly that he thinks he'll lose this lawsuit. He just wants to make a point of, calling PayPal on the carpet for what they've done to him.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
there's a long-running thread amongst the, Alex Jones, Breitbart, and I understand that Wikipedia is not allowing Breitbart as a source anymore. I don't know if that's true or not, but I've heard that.
That's fun.
That's fucking hilarious if it's true.
That's fun, yeah.
I could probably Google it, but I'm not gonna. the idea that the conservative voice is being silenced on the internet by some left-wing propaganda machine, that's nothing new. And I mean, Alex Jones has talked about that on his show before, and that's how this is getting spun for him and all the dipshits that listen to him.
Well, I mean, they're chieftain in idiocy. Donald Trump has made an entire administration out of playing the victim. Like, I don't know how the Republican Party can now control the Supreme Court, both houses of Congress, and the White House, and go, we are so under attack. Like, what in the fuck are you talking about? It's monetizing and weaponizing victimhood, monetizing it in Alex Jones's case, weaponizing it in the Trump administration's case, and outreaching parts like there. I'm going to send you an article. I didn't want to send it to you today because I didn't think you'd have time to read it. I want to talk about it next time. Maybe Dave wants to talk about it when we talk, next week.
Yeah.
There's a really great article in The Guardian about how YouTube, like, everybody talks about who's getting kicked off Twitter, but nobody gives a shit about Twitter. It's who's, like, on YouTube and spreading their, right-wing bullshit. And they made a heat map of, like, all these really crazy right-wing talkers on YouTube that all link to each other and share each other's shit. Like, there's this really weird network, of just asshats, I would say, sharing just conspiracy theories and far right theories. And the Guardian made a heat map, and it's fascinating. It's fascinating. And one of the fascinating things was a lot of people that were on that heat map when it was released were pissed.
Yeah.
They were like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Lumping me in with this the same group as Sticks Hexen Hammer 666. I'm like, well, you shared like 80 of his videos. Like, what the fuck? Like, so much fun. I literally can and have lost entire days just like going down that rabbit hole. And like, wait a minute. Like, you guys think you know the news? Like this Sticks Hexen Hammer 666. He does his YouTube videos shirtless. He's shirtless. He wears a leather jacket, and then he talks and he gives you really salient points like Mueller has nothing on Trump. Everybody knows that. Like, wait, no, actually, nobody knows that because the investigation's not over yet, and I'm sure as fuck they didn't talk to you. And
that bugs the hell out of me on either side when I see something on MSNBC or CNN about how Trump's he's finally in the vice, or something on Fox News about how this is a witch hunt, and it pisses me off because and that's why it makes me so mad. Nobody knows.
Nobody knows.
The only shit is what has been like I feel like it's probably when all this shit finally hits the light, it's going to be very, very interesting and crazy, but probably not in any of the ways anyone thinks.
Oh, it'll be mundane as fuck.
What is it?
It'll be mundane as fuck. It'll just be.
It's going to be a bunch of financial crime bullshit,
right.
And but it's going to go in a whole different direction. And it's just I can't stand the idea that these people are like, well, we everybody knows that. No, they don't. Shut up. Nobody knows.
Well, one of the things I want to say before we move on to financial crimes is, like, I watched, like, I want to say 8 or 9 of this guy's videos, and it's just him talking straight out of his ass. Like, Shay, you and I are talking straight out of our asses, but we are not trying to sound like the experts on anything.
No.
No. We are legitimately not the experts on anything at all. And the Sticks Hexen Hammer 666 guy, like, he just keeps talking about things that he apparently knows that are common knowledge. Whatever, he's full of shit. And so I comment, I'm like, why in the fuck? And he's got, like, I think I shared this with you, like his Patreon, his Patreon page, which he pronounces Patreon. Cock, you cock, you cock-faced bastard. Patreon, really?
It's Patreon.
It's Patreon.
Thank you. I just want that out there because I've heard other people use that say it that way, and it makes me want to slap people.
Yeah. So this little long-haired, nearsighted shit stack is going Patreon, and he makes about $5,500 a month off Patreon. And so I had a comment. I was like, why in the fuck are all you people listening to this jackass? And they're like, and one guy's like, same reason you are, bud. I'm like, no. You know, I'm just, I'm here to just gawk at you people in this crazy fishbowl or whatever. But I got to do the, he was like, yeah, whatever. You're here for the same reason. And I was like, why are you RE? I got to do that one on the Google, on the YouTube comments. And so that made my entire goddamn day.
That's just not how you say it. Sorry, that's all I can think about.
No, it's not. It's not. It's not. And
that's not how you say it.
And well, hold on. I mean, we got time. Well, we don't have anywhere to go. But before we move on, yeah, it's just here. I got it right here. Give me a second to change my settings here so I can share screen and sound. All right, here we go. This is Sticks and Hex and Hammer.
I don't know if this works as well as you think it does. Let's see though. Oh, there it goes.
All right, so let me start this over. So Shay's not talking over it.
It's very faint, but.
Oh, that's because I muted it.
It is also muted now. Oh yeah, turn that shit up, dog.
I'm trying.
Focus.
Focus. Oh no, what happened? There we go. Now listen to this dickhole.
I'm happy to announce the beginning of the days of Sticks, Hex, and Hammer 666 on Patreon. For those who don't know,
fuck you!
Platform in which you can give patronage to various people on YouTube and also elsewhere.
For those of you that can't see this because it's a podcast, we've got a very lanky, skinny guy with glasses, long hair, and a goatee wearing a leather jacket and no shirt in apparently his fucking sunroom.
Oh, see, yeah, I guess so. Yeah, it looks to be a sunroom. What is yeah, he's I can't handle that the way he says that. Even the nah.
Yeah, fuck that guy.
It's wrong.
It's wrong. Yeah, so we'll stop sharing sound and we'll stop sharing my screens.
Every time you share your screen, I'm hoping I catch sight of something weird.
Just me just hanging dong.
Yeah, no, I don't need to see that. I'm thinking like more like, it's like, oh, Justin, what's this checks with dick side over here?
Yeah. Hey, I got that from Alex Jones. Leave me alone. Hey, don't kink shame me.
Okay, sorry.
All right. Let's take a quick break, and then I want to talk about, we were talking about financial crimes. We'll wrap up with how we know that Donald Trump is totally a self-made man right now.
Oh, he's so self-made.
And we're back.
Down the ice here.
What the fuck am I hearing?
Got a little cooler right here.
Oh. I was going to say, and we're back, and then I just hear a bunch of fucking chaos.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So, let's talk, well, first of all, one of the reasons this podcast isn't allowed to operate a motor vehicle, because I'm on my second pitcher of beer. Shay's had, I don't know how many beers out of this loud-ass
cooler. Wait, are we recording?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, shit. Sweet. All right, let's do this.
Let's do this. See how professional we are, ladies and gentlemen? But, yeah, so we just pound drinks and tell you what we think. So we were talking about how Trump is a self-made man. And Shay had mentioned that what we think is really going to happen with this Mueller report and all the other things that come out, it's just going to be a lot of mundane financial crimes and fraud and shit like that. Well, about 4 days ago, the New York Times released a in-depth report that they worked on for over 18 months that says just that. And basically what it does is it obliterates the idea that Trump got a $1 million loan from his father that he paid back and then built a $10 billion real estate empire out of it. There are so many lies in the sentence I just said, I can't even keep track.
I mean, and this, here's the thing, man. Anybody that has most basic critical thinking skills, fucking when Donald Trump says, well, I just got a small loan, and you know it's bullshit. You just know it's bullshit. But it's not one of those things you ever really expect to get the truth behind.
Right.
And it's hilarious because my understanding was this was literally just a guy who handled accounting for Fred Trump, which is Donald's father, died, and somebody found all this shit in a basement.
Right.
Like just printed records of all this shit, and they've spent the last 18 months digging through it and figuring out how, like, I mean, this stuff is so, I mean, it's like, and it's just so funny because, like, one of the things was, like, apparently Fred Trump had all of his kids listed as his landlord, so he would pay his kids, like, and it's not that and it's like, okay, great, you took care of your family. The issue is if you listen to Donald Trump talk about it, you'd think he did this shit all on his own, but that guy has had everything fucking spoon-fed to him since the time he was able to walk. His entire life, he's had everything handed to him, and the idea that he is, the blue-collar billionaire, the everyman billionaire, he made his own fortune is fucking infuriating.
Right. Well, and one of the reasons that we want to talk about this, and Shay and I are kind of agitated, is that probably if you're like us out there in podcast land, and you're a liberal Democrat or whatever you want to call yourself, if you're left of center, you've probably had a conversation with somebody in the last year and a half where they go, well, yeah, but he's an awesome businessman. He's a successful businessman. He's made $10 billion, which I really have to say I take way too much pleasure every time Forbes downgrades his net worth like $600 million or whatever, but it's funny. So what Shay's saying is right. Like, the New York Times, it's like a 27-page article.
Yeah,
it's huge. The article is huge. They did so much research on this. It's something like 5,600 words or some nonsense like that, and one of the things that pops up, like Shay says, is that Fred Trump from an early age has funneled funds. Just as a recap for those of you who haven't been paying attention to the news, which actually, Shay, for a good point we should mention is this got buried. This has been out for about 4 days, and this got buried real hard because of the Kavanaugh debate and the Kavanaugh nomination.
I have to question. I think it was a dumb idea to release this information during the Kavanaugh hearings because there was no fucking way it wasn't going to get buried by it. Well, and it is so important to know because it's all, you can't say it's not true because there's all this evidence that he's full of shit and he's a huckster and he's lied to people. I know people who voted for him based solely on the fact that they think he's a successful, he built this big empire all by himself. He's who we need in charge of the country. And the fact that that's not true should be important, but it's gotten buried because of Kavanaugh. I really wish the Times had waited to release that. But the other issue is it looks real partisan if you wait until a couple weeks before the election.
Right. And a lot of people, of course, the joke going around the interwebs now is like, way to go, New York Times. We could have used this shit in 2016.
Yeah.
But the main thrust, and Shay, you already said, is that they got this research. They dug through these papers because I want to say it was a family member of the Trump family, so one of the relatives had passed away and left just trunks full of these files in his basement, and the New York Times got a hold of them. Now, the other thing is that the Trump company, whatever the fuck you want to call it, Trump Inc., is a real estate company, and those are public records. You can't buy or sell a property without going through the state of whatever state you're in, right? So whenever you transfer a deed or whatever, those are public filings. So if you have the time and the wherewithal, you can find this shit out. But finding that treasure trove of tax returns of Fred Trump, I think that's what was in a lot of that trunk that you're describing, was a lot of Fred Trump's tax returns from years back in the 90s. And that took time. Like, I don't know if the New York Times, I don't know if this guy I'll have to read the article again, I forget the guy's name, but I don't know if that person had passed away at the time. before 2016. Like everybody wants to bust on New York Times for not doing this in 2016, but like that information might not have been available then, you know. So
it wasn't. I mean,
yeah.
And if it was, you know, and I
It
think
took
that's
18 months for them to put it together. Like, goddamn.
Yeah, and also like that's one of the things I love about the length of the, like, you can't, you know, it, at least from what I as a reader have access to, it looks like a really well researched article, and it looks like they know exactly what they're talking about, and none of it's surprising. And
to throw a defense out for the New York Times, Shay, I think they released it the Thursday. Like they were planning to release this on the Thursday before the Kavanaugh Ford you know, depositions hearing, whatever you want to call that, without knowledge that was going to happen. Like that was scheduled, you know, that was scheduled like,
that's a good point.
Like that that hearing was scheduled the Friday before or whatever the fuck was going on, right? You know, so you know, I don't think the New York Times could have been like, well, we should schedule around this hearing, because they didn't know about it.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, so this dropped and got fucking buried by the Kavanaugh nomination. But it basically says that from an early age, like Shay was saying, that Fred Trump funneled money to his children. Now, let's just say that's not wrong. Like, giving money to your kids is fine. Excuse me while I hiccup into the microphone.
Delicious.
I know, that's good radio, ladies and gentlemen.
It adds texture to the podcast.
Yeah. What is illegal is not reporting said funneling of said monies to the IRS. So what came out of this article was a vast enterprise of fraud and tax evasion that was used to funnel money from Fred Trump to his children without having to pay taxes on. The vast majority of this was done, as Shay was saying, is to make the children landlords of certain properties, managers of certain things. The reporting is that at age 3, Donald Trump was worth $200,000.
It's ridiculous.
At age 8, he was a millionaire.
You part of me really respects it, because this was back in the day. This is not, you know. Now, like, this is old school playing the government. Like that shit. I kind of like, the more I read about Fred Trump, like, there's things about the man I'm like, okay, that's all right, but your son, he's not as smart as you.
Like I was saying, there's a difference between taking money from your parents, which we've all done. Like, I will fess up. I very openly went to mom and dad, like, the first year I was living in my own apartment. I was like, hey, can I have $100? And they're like, why? It's like, well, because I made a 3 and 8 in my checkbook, and now I'm fucked.
Yep.
And they were like, oh, yeah, here you go. And, like, that got me to my paycheck, and I could pay him back. Like, you know, I made a clerical mistake. But what was going on here was...
I have never filled out a checkbook in my life.
Well, there you go. But
you're solving your shit with an abacus over there. Yeah. Anyway.
Click, 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 clack, clack, clack. But yeah, so what was going on here was Fred Trump was putting all kinds of shit in his kid's name, and transferring wealth to your children is fine, but he was bypassing federal and state taxes, which is illegal. And one of the things, apparently one of the things they did the most, and Shay, you were talking about how this was, you know, you kind of respect Fred Trump, and we've gone back and forth about this.
Respect's not the right word, but, like, I appreciate the old-timey hucksterness of it. Let's put it that way. Let's put it down.
I see what you're doing.
Buddy,
this
guy.
Yeah. But one of the things that we've gone back and forth on the Facey Spaces in the My Books about how, like, his supporters will say, well, this is awesome because he's gotten it over on the government. He's such a great businessman, Fred Trump and Donald Trump, that he's gotten it over on the government. He's just that much of a business genius. This isn't genius. This is just straight up lying. Yeah. One of the things they would do the most of is to devalue properties that they would transfer from from Fred Trump.
Is so shady.
Yeah, devalue a property and transfer it from Fred Trump to the kids, the children. And I honestly, I know Donald Trump has a sister. I know he has a brother. I couldn't give you the names off the top of my head because it's just like they don't even fucking exist in the modern media. It's hilarious.
That tells me they're probably smarter than he is.
Yeah, fuck yeah. Like keep my
Like
name.
honestly, like they're I mean, maybe after we're done, I'm gonna start looking into. But I would not be shocked to find out that Donald Trump's brothers and sisters are wealthier and smarter than he is because they stay out of the spotlight.
Well, his
or
sister,
they could all be monsters.
Well, his sister, I know, is a retired. I mean, she's still a federal judge, but she doesn't hear cases.
Oh, that's right. She's got that crazy hair.
Yeah, she looks like
They look like Tim Burton characters.
Yeah, basically. His brother, I have never seen a picture of, so I don't know. And he's kept his, he's told everybody to keep his name out their mouth. Yeah. So the transfer of these properties to the kids was like, I mean. Real estate is a dodgy thing because Shay, if you're an appraiser, and I'm an appraiser, we can look at the same building and you could say it's worth $450 million. I could say it's worth $550 million. So on the tax returns, they say, well, let's just say $500 million. And the federal government knows that these are kind of wishy-washy things, so they let it go. But what what Fred Trump was doing was like a 90 to 95% reduction in the values of these properties on their taxes, and then they would sell them for some, this exorbitant amount. And that's how they got caught several times. Is that they would list a property on their taxes, transfer it to Donald Trump, his sister, or something like that, for a fraction of, and they would pay the fraction of the taxes that would be needed to, 55% taxes were back in the 90s would be what you would pay to transfer that to a sibling. Or somebody in your family, and they would transfer it for a fraction of that because they said it was worth 5 or 6% of what it was really worth, and then later they would sell it for an exorbitant amount of money compared to what they just transferred it for, and the federal government's like, the fuck, what are you doing? And they got burned a couple times. Apparently there were over 250 different streams of income coming to Donald Trump. In his 40s and 50s, he was making $4 or $5 million off his father's companies. Like, just grandfathered into this money he was making when he was 3 and 8. My favorite is the poker chip loan. Have you heard about this one?
No.
Okay, so when Donald Trump was running Trump Castle, a casino in Atlantic City, he ran that right in the fucking ground. Nobody knows how. Like, casinos print money. Like, drunk people like yourself and myself, will walk in and gamble and lose money and then stumble out.
Funny story. I have never gambled. I've never set foot in a casino.
I've never set foot in a casino either, but I've lost money at poker.
However, I don't play poker. I've never played a game of poker for money either. I've never played poker, not once actually. And it's not a bragging point. I'm just saying. Now I can't learn because nobody can trust it to teach me. But I am going to Vegas for the first time on November 1st, so we'll see how it goes. But
nice,
I digress.
Nice. No, that'll be fun.
Could have gone to see fish. It's going to be stupid.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Anyway. So, apparently, Trump Castle was having some liquidation issues. They didn't have enough cash on hand to pay an interest payment on one of the loans for the casino. And so Trump's dad, Fred Trump, walked in. Or I'm sorry, he didn't walk in. He was like in the 80s. Sent a guy in, and they know the guy's name. I don't know it off the top of my head. He was later caught and fined $65,000 for this. But the guy walked in, handed him a cashier's check for $3.5 million. I'm sorry, $3.35 million. They checked the cashier's check was good. They gave this guy $3.35 million worth of chips. He put it in a bag and walked out. Now, I heard this story before, and I thought that he did this at another casino and then took them to Trump's casino to transfer the wealth that way. But no, what he did, they bought these chips at the Trump Castle and then just walked out with them. They didn't gamble them. Like, the casino makes the money back when you gamble with them, right? But basically what he did is he just gave them $3.35 million for about, $100 worth of fucking clay chips and walked out. So the Trump casino just got this huge influx of cash at the 0th hour for their loan payment. The next day, Trump calls his dad. Yeah. So, the casino itself just took in $3.35 million. They gave out the poker chips. and usually you gamble them away or whatever, and the there's a I would say 80% chance that you're going to get that money back. But let's just say that guy who bought $3 million worth of chips is some kind of whale and a poker shark, and he just fucking takes you for everything you're worth. That's the risk there in a casino, right? There's no risk when you just put them in a fucking bag and walk out. Like, no, that money stays in the casino. The next day, Donald Trump called his dad and said he was still a couple $100,000 short. So the same guy went back and bought $150,000 worth of chips and did the same thing. Yeah. So that's how he paid an interest loan, like back in like 97. Like, just shady as fuck.
I have not heard that story, but that is about right. And I mean, it's just, and it's so hysterical that like the Family Values Party has elected this shady huckster as the president. It's GOP's, it's his party now. So that, I mean, and I can't wait until after he's out of office and all of these stories start coming out, because there's going to be so many more like this that come out when he's not the president anymore.
Well, one of the things we need to talk about. I have another great example. Is that this is the second way they made a bunch of money. So Fred Trump created. Did you hear about All County Building Supply and Maintenance Share?
Let's pretend like I haven't. Explain.
All right. So Fred Trump created a company called All County Business Supply and Maintenance, which would buy and sell the fixtures and the whatnots that went into. Okay.
And this was the thing where he. This is the thing where they would say like, is this for Trump's dad? Where he would say like, okay, we're gonna get you these fixtures. They're $100. They charge $300 and pocket the difference.
Oh yeah. So exactly right. One of the examples that's been going around for a while now is the boilers, because it's a large ticket item. So if one of the hotels that the Trump, properties, Trump Inc., whatever the fuck it's called, owned, needed a boiler, All County Maintenance Supply would buy a boiler, and then they would buy it for $10,000. Then they would sell it to the Trump hotel or property, whichever what it was, for $50,000. Now, this is okay and good until you realize, well, actually, it's not good at all. Like, there's a $40,000 markup there. But it's all well and good if those two companies are owned by different people. Like, if Fred Trump is going to get raped by All Counties, All Counties Building Supply and Maintenance, that's his prerogative. But he owned All Counties Building Supply and Maintenance, so he was just, inflating the price, just skimming off $40,000 off of a boiler, and then he would just pocket that and send it to his kids. Like, that's how the income stream was generated for the Trump children. It was shit like that. And that's where like your Trump supporter is going to come out and be like, oh, he's just a genius businessman. It's like, no, he lied. Like, no, a genius businessman would have shell company inside of shell company inside of a shell company, and then realize that this really obscure country over in Malaysia had like some super crazy law where you could put it all over there, and then on Tuesdays you didn't pay any tax. It was just something weird like that, like just finding loophole inside of loophole inside of loophole. That's being a genius businessman. This is just straight up fucking lying. Like, there's no way around it.
Yeah, no, and it's one of those things, like, and if you don't, the thing that scares me the most about that is if you don't think that's how he's running the country, you're a fucking moron.
Oh yeah.
That's everything about what I've seen from his
administration.
He won the popular vote.
He won the popular vote.
Short-term games.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like, they're alienating allies and doing all this shit for a bunch of upfront short-term gains that are probably not going to pan out long run. And I mean, I just cannot imagine the shady shit he's pulling with other leaders around the world that nobody knows about. That's similar to this kind of shit on a larger scale.
We've had it confirmed by two different sources that Michael Cohen took a trade agreement off the president's desk so he wouldn't sign it. Like, that was one of the things that was released in a book, and like everybody denied it, and then a second source was like, no, I saw that happen.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, like I'm sorry, Shay, like, I drink. I know that I'm forgetful sometimes, but if I sat down ready to sign something and at my table it's not there, I'm like, hey, guys, who the fuck took away the NAFTA agreement I was going to sign?
Yeah, I don't.
Like, Like, the fact that it's not on my desk doesn't make me think like, oh, okay, I guess I did it.
That makes the assumption that he's aware of what's coming and going and what he's signing. Yeah. Like, I've got this, like, worst-case scenario idea of him just coming in the morning, signing a bunch of shit.
Whoa, morning. It's 11 o'clock before, yeah.
Well, you know what? I'm devil's advocate. I'm not a morning person. I feel like the most powerful man in the world should get to sleep in a little bit if he needs to. But not if there's stuff to do. And then there's always stuff to do, so... But I want to say I understand the desire to not be out of bed before 11 a.m.
Oh, I get it too. Yeah.
Oh, it's so good. But yeah, man, I just that like I said, that makes the assumption that he knows everything that's going on and everything that's in front of him. Which I would be shocked. I've got this idea in my head. It's just him like signing shit all day, and he's not. He's just just flying through it, just signature. He's not even reading it.
I can see that.
Yup.
I can totally see that. Well, he's also said a bunch of like really, really untrue things about the things he's signed that tells you he doesn't know anything that's going on about him.
Oh, there's no way. There's no way a man that speaks like that takes the time to read documents that are that in depth.
Yeah. Well,
there's no way.
There's speaking of reading documents that are in depth, we need to talk about Kavanaugh. But before we talk about Kavanaugh, just for a couple minutes, because I don't want to go on forever, and also we're not going to solve this Kavanaugh thing tonight. You and I are going to. I mean, I have.
But there's nothing to solve. He got the seat.
Right. Well, and if you thought he wasn't going to get the seat, you're pretty deluded. Yeah.
That's cute.
But did you see the footage of Donald Trump walking onto Air Force One with fucking toilet paper stuck to his shoe?
That shit was great.
Yeah, it was.
It's
like
it's so fucking stupid, but it just sums up. It's so good. It's like, yeah, that's about right. That's about fucking right. The man can't wear a suit that fits. Why would he check the toilet? Like, yeah, Jesus Christ.
His tie hangs down to his taint, so why not? Yeah. You know. Oh God, his suits are so funny. Like, for a man that's his size, he's wearing a suit that maybe would fit you and I together. Like, we could probably fit in his suit together. Like,
oh, it's so yeah.
But like, one of the best things because you see him walking up there with that thing stuck to his foot, and of course the White House denies any of it. They don't want to talk about it. But like, one of the best quotes I heard about that was, "The president has no friends in the White House." Like, there would have been a legion of people that would have stopped Barack Obama and be like, President, Mr. President, yeah.
Wow, I hadn't even thought about that. Like, how many people did he have to walk by and see that?
I mean, how many people are around the president at any given moment? I would say 10 to 20 at any given moment.
When he came out of the stall, there would have been somebody standing there.
I'm sure and I'm sure we could Google this. I have a fraternity brother that worked as a Secret Service agent for years, and I could ask him. But I'm sure there's at least 10 people that are within earshot of the president at any given moment that are just security. And I'm sure 5 of them saw him walk out of the bathroom with toilet paper stuck on his shoe and said, "Not my job."
Not my problem.
Not my job.
Look at this asshole, yeah.
And then there were another 50 or 60 people that he walked right by to get up on Air Force One, and they all said, "Not my job." You know, like, yeah. Like, that's the funny thing. Like, the comparison and contrast there, and some of the guys on excuse me, I don't know what's in my back of my throat here. Shut up, Shay.
You beat.
Yeah, I beat you to it. The guys on last podcast, or I'm sorry, not last podcast, but Pod Save America, they're like, there would have been a legion of people like that would have stopped Barack Obama from walking out, like, with a booger. You don't walk out in a tan suit to give apparently the most controversial, press conference ever in a tan suit with a booger. Like, they'd be like, "Sir, I got it." It's like, and one of them was like, I'm sure somebody would be like, "Sir, blow." Just like, pinch his nose and told him to blow in their hand because they, but yeah, so many people watched President Trump walk by with toilet paper on his shoe, and it was a metaphor for what the fuck's going on right now.
Yep. Oh, dude. I mean, it's like that. It's, it's like when you got that buddy that comes to the party and he's a fucking douche and nobody really likes him, but he's loaded and he buys all the beer so everyone's cool with him. But then when he does something dumb like that, nobody says anything because nobody really likes him.
You're right. Or when he's like, "Hey guys, can I have a ride home?" It's like, "Yeah, I'm not going that way."
Yeah, sorry, dude.
Yeah.
I thought you lived there. I moved.
Yeah. I moved. Yeah.
Later, brah.
Yeah. Gotta go. All right. So Kavanaugh. So we got to talk about Kavanaugh. Apparently, there was this guy. His name is Brett Kavanaugh. If you haven't watched any of the news in the last fucking a month, Shay, God damn it.
God damn it, I'm so sick of it.
Yeah. So Brett Kavanaugh was confirmed. We're recording this on Monday. Brett Kavanaugh was confirmed late Saturday afternoon. He was sworn in the same day. I thought that was kind of quick, but then I realized that the Supreme Court session starts today.
Can you imagine how awkward that's going to be with him sitting there with all the news, and he's like, hey, guys,
Well,
have you seen the news?
yeah. So on one hand, I would like to say that as a liberal Democrat that knows for almost, I mean, I would bet my next paycheck on the fact that Donald Trump has not read the Constitution from start to finish. It bugs the shit out of me that Donald Trump, who, as I said, has not read the Constitution, has now added 2 Supreme Court justices to the Supreme Court. It irks me. But this is also his right as the president.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he was going to... I think we've talked about this in the last podcast. Like, we didn't expect him to come up with a stellar fucking, some guy that, like...
Justin, you're mixing up your other better podcast. They didn't talk about this on last podcast.
What?
You said last podcast?
Oh,
yeah,
no.
dude, come on, listen.
I
man,
guarantee...
listen, we're not... Let's sort your shit out.
Okay, so Jeffrey Dahmer did not talk about that whether or not Donald Trump would nominate a good Supreme Court nomination. For those of you who have not listened, for those of you who have not listened to the last podcast on the left, it's all about serial killers, and they loved Jeffrey Dahmer and Ed Gein. But no, so I was saying, like, we talked about this before. We didn't expect Donald Trump to, nominate a Supreme Court justice that you and I were like, oh, that guy's awesome. We pretty much expected him to nominate a Republican, conservative, kind of actor. Like, like he would say he was nonpartisan, but he would be conservative and Republican. Like, we get that, right? Like, that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Like, the fact that he was then apparently accused of sexual assault by 3 women, that was a bit of a curveball.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's the thing I could say where I could point out how if literally nothing else about this process was different except Kavanaugh was a Democrat, the Republicans would be doing everything they could to burn his life to the ground. Mm-hmm. So let's establish that right now. I think the real issue, like, a lot of people are pissed off at Donald Trump about this because he's the figurehead, but the person you all should be mad at is Mitch McConnell.
Oh, but you know what? Mitch McConnell doesn't give a shit.
The reason this is so sour is because of how shitty, like, the hypocrisy of, what he did with Garland versus what he's doing. Yeah, Merrick Garland, what he's doing now is just ridiculous. Like, don't tell me we have to get this through right away because you fucking took over a year to deny Garland, like, and he didn't even get a fucking hearing. So, like, go fuck yourself. Yeah. Mitch McConnell is where everybody should be pissed off because really he's the core reason as to why things have gotten as bad as they have. Because I think what was the last one? Gorsuch?
Neil Gorsuch, yes.
Yeah, that motherfucker cruised right through.
Sailed through.
Gotta point that out. Sailed through.
Through.
Democrats didn't do shit. And nobody came forward to say, "Hey, he tried to rape me."
Exactly.
But so that that right there shows that this is not just you're a Republican, you're appointing a judge thing. Like, this is fucking. There's a problem with him as a Supreme Court justice just by how he reacted to the accusations. First of all,
yeah.
And everybody's still bitter about what happened to Garland because Mitch McConnell is a fucking dick.
Well,
and oh God, fuck that guy. I can't even think straight thinking about him.
I know. Hold on, I'll put some pins in that for you. So we got to put a pin in Mitch McConnell. We got to put a pin in Neil Gorsuch. We got to put a pin in his Kavanaugh's reaction to the accusations. So for those of you who haven't been paying attention to nominations for the last couple of years. Barack Obama nominated a justice named Neil. Oh shit! I'm sorry.
Neil Gorsuch Merrick Garland.
Merrick Garland,
who was moderate.
He was a very moderate, and
He was
it's
not
actually
a far left nut job.
no, he was not a far left nut job, and it's actually come out. It's actually come out lately that apparently that Merrick Garland voted with Kavanaugh like 90% of the time.
That is
like,
hysterical.
Like that's how not of a left wing whack job he was.
Yeah, dude. So like, don't tell me this is an attack job by the fucking Democrats. Anyway.
So, Mitch McConnell used what he called the Biden rule to say that you can't nominate a Supreme Court justice, or excuse me, you can nominate one, but we aren't going to sit him or give him a confirmation hearing during an election year. Now, for those of you who have not Googled this and looked into it, like I have, the Biden rule talks about when Joe Biden, I want to say in 1992, went on the Senate and said that they literally probably would not have time to campaign for their seats, take care of whatever business they had already on the table, and then confirm a Supreme Court justice nomination before the election. And he basically just asked that the president, who was George Herbert Walker Bush at the time, to wait until after the election, like literally the day after the election, to nominate somebody. Then they could deal with it. I would like to point out that A, he was speaking hypothetically at the time, and B, there wasn't a fucking vacancy on the Supreme Court. There wasn't a nomination. He was just saying, like, this apparently had been brought up in political conversation. Joe Biden got out on the Senate floor and said, hey, I don't think we have time to deal with this shit. Why don't you wait until after the election? And then the day after the election, nominate somebody and we'll deal with it. Like, it wasn't like... the difference is that Joe Biden didn't say, well, we have to wait until the next president or the next Congress is seated and sworn in to do this. Just wait till after the election and we'll do whatever you want. So that's the quote-unquote Biden rule, and the reason it's bullshit is because Joe Biden himself says, I didn't say that. Mitch McConnell quoted Joe Biden out of context in, I don't know the year off the top of my head, but when Barack Obama... I guess it would have been 2016, when Barack Obama nominated Merrick Garland, and Mitch McConnell said, oh, we're just not going to do this because it's an election year. Merrick Garland's nomination sat idle for 293 days, and then expired because the new Congress was sworn in. Judge Kavanaugh was nominated like 94 days ago, while we're sitting here recording this podcast, some bullshit like that.
So I don't know those details, but it's something like that, yeah.
Yeah, it's like 90. It's less than 100 days, and Mitch McConnell was like, "We got to get him in. Got to get him in. There's no time to waste." So the fact that Mitch McConnell is full of shit and has no integrity should surprise nobody. What people are surprised by is that Mitch McConnell doesn't give a shit that you don't care. Like, Mitch McConnell knows that his job is to just hammer through conservative judges and conservative policies. He's not there to win fucking popularity contests because he's a senator from Kentucky, and there are so many fucking old white racist dudes in Kentucky that are like, yeah, Mitch McConnell's fucking awesome, that he's going to win no matter what.
Yeah.
So
and I mean, let's be clear here. The reason they want to push this through is because if the Democrats take the House, that's going to slow their shit down real hard.
That's not even it, Shay. Well, that's one thing.
Like that, it's going to make things so much more of a pain in the ass.
It's going to make
after midterms. Like if you got to get it through before midterms because of that, because it's a win, and you can say you did it.
Well, that's exactly true. Donald Trump. Like one of the best quotes I heard from the Pod Save America guys was John Lovett said, Donald Trump doesn't give a shit about Brett Kavanaugh. You could put Brett Kavanaugh in a cannon and fire him into the sun, and Donald Trump would be like, oh, whatever. He just wants a win.
Yep.
Like he just wants
That's what's so important about it.
Yeah, he wants a win.
He doesn't give a shit who he seats.
And so does Mitch McConnell. But I think you're exactly right in that point. But I think you're not seeing the broader scope of this. I think what the problem is that Mitch McConnell represents the widest conservative, maleist portion of America, and there is no way in hell that demographic is going to get bigger in the next time we're alive. Like minorities, women, in our lifetime, Shay, in the next 20 or 30 years, white straight men like ourselves are going to be a minority. And Mitch McConnell knows that. And he knows that he has this very small window to make hay while he can. Because in the next 30 years, if he can fucking stay alive that long, he will be antiquated and out of touch.
That makes sense. Yeah. And so get to do all this shit now while you still can, because he knows time is going to...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like, yeah, it makes it. Demographic changes are going to, like, all of this will be irrelevant in 20 or 30 years because demographic shifts are going to change how all this goes. And a lot of those fuckers in Congress are going to be dead.
Right, but if he can put up 40-year-old, 50-year-old people like Kavanaugh in judgeships across the nation, then he can put his stamp on what they consider, the justice system for the next, several decades. And Jay and I, when we were doing the Purple Report, we went back and forth about this a lot, and I never got to ask Jay the question. Jay, if you're listening, please fucking shoot me a message. We'd love to talk to you about this. I would love to talk to you about this. But Jay always said that he preferred conservative judges, and he tried to convince me that I would prefer conservative judges as well, because they would only read into the Constitution the rights that were there. And I think that's a very loaded statement in that when you say conservative, I personally hear conservative Christian. And when you read rights and one of the things that the conservative, ideological vent likes to say is that, the left reads in rights that aren't there. And when they say reads in rights that aren't in the Constitution, they say in like gays and women and things like that, people like that shouldn't be covered and protected under the Constitution. And like, I can't read the Constitution and get that out. Like, and I don't want to put those words in Jay's mouth. Like, that's what I hear when people say conservative justices are better for America. I hear conservative Christian judges. That's what I think they mean. So I don't want to put those words in Jay's mouth, but that's always an argument we've had or discussion we've had. So like, that's the thing. Like, Mitch McConnell just wants to put all these fucking conservative judges on the court so he can hopefully, in my opinion, haven't talked to McConnell about this, propagate this, this idea that straight white men that are Christian should rule for the next fucking 40 years.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense. I mean, I for me, whenever I hear conservative, I also assume that also means Christian. Like, let's be honest, those two things go hand in hand. I don't talk to a lot of conservatives that identify as Buddhist.
That's true. That's a good point. Yeah, neither do I.
Yeah,
you don't hear a lot of Wiccan people talking about how they support Trump.
Yeah, that's not a thing. So like, I'm going to assume that conservative means Christian. I mean, that's one of those kind of like, well, we say this, but we mean this. Dog whistle kind of things. It's a conservative Christian. It's a code word. I mean, that's yeah, duh.
And so Kavanaugh was confirmed. There's a lot of brouhaha about whether the investigation by the FBI was expansive enough or not. I mean, that argument's going to rage forever.
I don't understand why anybody thought it would be different than it was.
That's my point.
I would have honestly just
the votes were there.
Fucking approve him, get him on the court. Don't do that. I mean, this was where we were going to be no matter what.
Like, we started this conversation out saying that we expected Donald Trump to put somebody kind of shitty, in our opinion, on the court. Like, yeah. Right? Like why is everybody surprised when Donald Trump put somebody shitty from a liberal Democrats, I'm speaking for myself, point of view on the court? Like, that's his prerogative. That's what you get to do as the fucking sitting POTUS.
Yeah, there's nobody he was going to put on there that I was going to. Well, I won't say nobody, but there's chances are, whoever he picks, I was not going to agree with. Like that was never going to happen. But I can still disagree with you and think you're a quality candidate.
Right.
Like, like there are so many good, like John McCain. Like, I disagree with the guy, but he was good at what he did. Like, I never questioned the dude's character. I just didn't agree with what he did. And it's that same principle here. It's like, man, I'm not saying I got to agree with everything you do. I just got to think you're not a shitty person.
Yeah, I think that's where Kavanaugh kind of swung and missed. And in my opinion, he swung and missed where he, when he sat down to defend himself against Dr. Ford's testimony, which I'm going to say right now, if you're going to put a gun to my head, I would have to believe Dr. Ford over Justice Kavanaugh now, because I don't see any reason for her to come forward other than to do the right thing. Like, she's not going to make any money out of this. Her life's fucked forever. As we record this podcast, she still can't live in her home because of death threats.
I don't understand that idea of like, well, it was like do people think she was paid some ungodly amount of money to make it worth? Why would you go forward? Like, if it didn't happen, why would you just? Nothing good was ever going to come out of this for her, and she knew that.
Well, Shay, let's lean into that Sean Hannity fever dream. So let's say that George, let's say that George Soros approached Dr. Ford,
Blue Devil, yes,
who was a already well-established psychologist and made, I'm assuming, a good living. Approached her and said, "Hey, I want you to accuse Judge Kavanaugh of sexually assaulting you back in 1986. We're gonna pick an exact year out of fucking nowhere. We could have done it last year, but we're gonna pick 30 some years ago because why not? If you do this and stand up and testify in front of the Senate and do interviews and basically have your entire life just fucked, fucked real hard, I will give you $500 million."
Yeah.
Okay. So now we have a monetary, incentive. So let's just say, as Sean Hannity would say, that she did this. Then right after she took down Kavanaugh's nomination and he withdrew, or Donald Trump withdrew him. I think he said he wouldn't withdraw, and that's fine. I get that. I probably do the same thing if I was a shithead like that. And then, so now she has $500 million. Now, she can't teach, right? She can't work at her job because her whole life's fucked, right? So she's got to move somewhere else. So then, wouldn't it be really obvious? And I'm pretty sure even the fucksticks that work at the Sean Hannity show would have figured out if Dr. Ford had quit her job and then moved to Tahiti and retired, like fucking 4 months after, 6 months after the Kavanaugh hearings. That fever dream doesn't make sense even, and I'm on my second pitcher of beer. Like that doesn't make sense to anybody.
No, and there's no, unless it's one of these things where like she's decided, well, I'm gonna fall on this sword and I'm gonna make this accusation falsely to try to stop him because it's for the greater good, which I don't believe.
Well, then that means that she has some kind of psychological disorder.
Yeah, exactly. Like, none of these, like, I just don't understand. Like, I'm not. It's so frustrating because all of the shit I've seen spun is like, well, yeah, she's not credible. Like, based on what?
Well, one of the things I really like is that people are like, she's not credible, and I tend to believe her because I understand that there's no upside to her coming out and doing this. Whereas there's a very big upside, a lifetime appointment to the Supreme Court for him to deny it. Like, that's my motivation to believe her over him. You can fucking send me an email and at the Woodscast 1776 at gmail.com and fucking rail on me about that. But that's how I feel. But to your point, people are like, her accusations are uncorroborated, and I have to take a step back and go, his denial isn't corroborated. He held up a calendar that he made in 1982, or 86, or what the fuck ever. Shay, I could fill out a calendar tomorrow that says I totally was sober yesterday. That's a lie. I was drunk and fuck. The people that jump to his denial is the truth and her accusation is uncorroborated, and using the word uncorroborated really give me pause, because like his denial isn't any more corroborated than her accusation. Why are you siding that hard that way?
It just makes me so fucking mad, because if anybody else walk up to you, if anyone you knew on a face-to-face day, anybody else, any friend of yours, Justin, that was female, came up to you and said, that fucking guy over there tried to rape me, you're not going to say, well, can you corroborate that? Like, that's not how sexual assault works. Like,
and that's not the words you use with your friends.
No, and it's like, it, you know, it just makes me so mad that because it's a politicized event, the validity of what she said is immediately a question, where if no one had ever heard of this woman and he was never in the position he's in, that it wouldn't immediately default to it's a conspiracy, it's a scam. Now, and which is a whole different ball game of saying, like, a lot of times these days when somebody does make an accusation like that, people don't believe them. And that is a whole nother issue aside from the politicization of it. And it just fucking pisses me off so much, because if it was somebody's like sister or mother and someone made the same accusation, you would immediately believe that person. But because it's somebody you see on the TV and it's not a real person, you don't give a shit.
Well, and that's a great point. Like, the people that I shared this on Facebook. There's a guy everybody should check out on Facebook. His name is Bo of the Fifth Column. And from everything I can understand about him, he's just an independent journalist from thefifthcolumn.com. I think that's what it's called. And I've tried to look into his backstory, because I'm a cynical fuck. You know, I kind of want to know where you're coming at me with your opinions. I'm pretty sure Shay and I are pretty open where we're coming from, so you don't need to Google us. I don't think anything will pop up anyway, but so
yeah, you be careful what you careful.
Careful what you wish for, right?
Never know what's out there, buddy.
Yeah. So this guy Bo from the Fifth Column posted a video, and it's and like the title is "Let's talk about bar fights," and what if it was your sister or so and so, and basically he discusses a time where he saw a girl that he knew casually being kind of cajoled and pressured by a drunk guy at a bar, and so he decided whether or not to try to fight him, and decided there were three of them he didn't want to fight. So he just sat down and said that he was her boyfriend. And the second he said that, the look of relief that washed over his face made him feel really good. And those three guys just got up and walked away. And he goes on in the video, and you can Google it on it's on Facebook. And fuck it, send me an email at the Woodscast 1776 at gmail.com, and I'll fucking send you the link. But he goes on to talk about, like, if you haven't been told by the women in your immediate, if you haven't been told by one of the four women in your immediate circle about how they've been either sexually assaulted or somebody has attempted to touch them inappropriately or something like that, then they don't trust you.
I don't know a single female friend that does not have a story like that.
Right. Well, and he goes on to say that you want to think about those comments you're putting on, the face spaces in the my books. Like, they read those too. And then if they read that, like, oh, she's a lying whore. Like, if you put a comment on somewhere in Facebook or, Instagram or Twitter or Twitter or whatever you're doing, and you said, well, Dr. Ford's a lying whore. They saw that, and now your relationship with them has forever changed, because you clearly don't believe them. And Shay, I'm right with you. Like, there are so many women in my circle that I won't name here and will never name here that have come to me and said things like that. Then I'm just floored. Like, I mean, fuck. Who is raising these guys that are doing this to women that are around us? Like, I mean, these women have these stories, and the fact that we're not listening is the problem.
Yeah, and I mean, term limits. That's the only thing that's going to save the Supreme Court now. I mean, is having somebody come in and say, all right, great, you're all on the Supreme Court, you got to get reelected in 4 years, have fun.
Okay. Let's get a little less serious, and let's talk about the Supreme Court as a political body for a couple minutes. I mean, I got plenty of beer to go. Shay, you good to go for a couple more minutes?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We're reloading.
And this is why we're not allowed to drive after we record a podcast.
Nope.
So there has been some talk that there's some whispers on the more, fervent left that of the podcasts and news that I read. And I'm liberal as shit, and I still know that it's the fervent left, but they're talking about court packing. Have you heard about this, Shay?
Yeah, man. Here's the thing.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah. Now, I assume you're talking about the idea of like, all right, great, get control of the government, then up the limit of the Supreme Court to 11 or something, and then throw a bunch of people on there. And I think that I don't like that, because then what are you going to have? The next time there's another administration, they're just going to up it to 20, and it gets that it'll get out of control. That's why I keep making that joke of term limits. Like, if the Supreme Court wasn't a lifetime appointment, the travesty of what is Judge Kavanaugh's appointment would be minimized. If these guys had to run for re-election, or at least had some sort of like every so many years their position was I don't know how you would do it, but it shouldn't be a lifetime appointment. That doesn't make sense. Right. If only because society moves so much faster than that now. Right. Like it needs to be term limit similar to a president, maybe a little more, maybe a little less, like 10 or 15 years. I don't know. But it would solve that. It like court packing is stupid because it'll just go back and forth.
Right. Let me reiterate. I think we skipped over something, and you were talking about Kavanaugh as a shitty justice. He's shitty not just because of the sexual assault allegation. There are at least 2 or 3 times that he's been proven to have lied under oath.
Yep.
He is he has proven in the past to be a very partisan actor for the Republican Party.
That's my biggest problem with him, is he's a partisan hack.
Yeah, he worked under Kenneth Starr during the Bill Clinton impeachment hearings, and he pushed really hard to have the really explicit questions asked to President Clinton at the time. Now, he then worked under the Bush administration after that, and then developed an entirely different idea about what you're allowed to ask and do of a president. So, like, during the Clinton administration, he's like, yeah, subpoena the fuck out of that guy. But during the Bush administration, he developed an idea that, president is basically an emperor. You're not allowed to subpoena him or talk to him crossly. Yeah, so he has a lot of problems. And then during his one of my biggest problems during his, I like that. Shay is holding up a Millhouse doll because
Atomic. Well, it's a radioactive. Was it Atomic Boy? I don't remember. Yeah, when he was in the Radioactive Man movie. Right.
But Kavanaugh also during his rebuttal to the Dr. Ford testimony said like the left, Democratic conspiracy, blame the Clintons. Like, he proved himself not to be partisan. So Shay and I aren't just saying that these accusations of sexual assault are the only reason he's a shitty choice. There's a lot of reasons he's a shitty choice. And what Shay's saying is that, and what we're talking about is that he's a shitty choice. If the Democrats take power, there's some whispering, some talk about adding 2 more justices that are more liberal to balance them out. And then Shay's exact point is that when the Republicans take power, they're going to add 17. And there's this.
And then when the Democrats take power after that, it'll be another 20. Right. And then,
so,
it's
an arms race. It's an arm race.
Yeah.
So my point. Here's my idea. And to Shay's point, there is nothing in Article 2 of the Constitution that describes the Supreme Court that decides the number of justices. There have been 7. There's been 10. Like, people add and subtract. Like, I think. But the last time the number's been changed was like the 1800s. FDR tried to change it because the president before him packed the court basically, and he wanted to just add a bunch of justices. There's nothing constitutionally said he couldn't have done it, but he just was fucking murdered politically for trying it, or trying bringing it up. Yeah. My point, here's my idea, and you can make me honorary Supreme Court justice for this. I say we take the number out of the equation. Let's say we make it 51 justices. Let's say that 9 of them get to stand there and ask questions. Like at any Supreme Court hearing, 9 of them are elected or are picked from the crop. I say we make it 51 justices. 9 of them are picked to argue. Everybody else is listening, right, making their own decisions, but only 9 of them get to ask questions and shoot the shit with the lawyers for a Supreme Court hearing. So right now we got 9. I say we don't change the makeup of the court at all. You just have the Republicans nominate 21 justices. You have the Democrats nominate 21, and you just throw them in there. Make it less of this guy's an asshole, that guy's awesome, and like just make them a pack of assholes. So that we stop worrying about this specific judge being this specific thing on that. It will average out over the 51 justices, and you still, and they still have a 2-vote, majority, whatever.
Yeah. So is that like now 51? Is that saying like you got 1 from each state plus an extra one, or could someone say like,
no, fuck it. Okay, that's fine.
You could have 10 from this, but could you also have say I'm gonna have 10 from this state and 8 from this state?
No. I say 1 from each state. That would be great. Like,
I feel
because they have to be equal and opposite. Like, so
yeah, that would work.
Let Mitch McConnell pick 50 judges, or I'm sorry, 21 judges. Let Chuck Schumer pick 21 judges.
It doesn't matter where they're from.
Right, doesn't matter where they're from. Or have them, or do this. Have them pick 30 judges, and you get 9 vetoes on either side. Make it like choosing a jury. Yeah. You got all these fucking judges out there. Mitch McConnell, Chuck Schumer's just fucking picking judges.
For the Supreme Court, let's make Supreme Court decisions just jury trials, and anybody in America can get pulled onto the Supreme Court at any given time.
No. Well,
it'll be
actually, my idea would be a big fuck all, because I would want them to be already judges. So you would actually harvest a bunch of fucking federal judges, and then you'd have to nominate the replacements for that, and then that'd be a whole fuck all too. But
I don't know. I don't know what the solution is there. I just do not want to. I don't want a court pack. Like, I don't.
No, it's not good. It's
not good because again, the administration that comes in after the one that I agree with is going to do the same thing, and then the one after that, and it just gets out of control.
Well, like Mitch McConnell's butthurt that the Democratic Senate that came in. I'm sorry. How are we doing this? Like, whoever. Chuck Schumer took away the what's the word I'm looking for, Shay? Where you stand around and talk, filibuster. Took away the filibuster for federal judges, and then Mitch McConnell took it away for every judge. And like everybody was like, "Hey, you shouldn't have do that," but I'm going to do it more. It's just one of those things.
I would love to see that get reinstated, but I know that's never going to happen. What's going to happen is eventually you're going to now it's a race for getting them just a slight majority so you can steamroll shit through.
Right. Well, and the problem is they passed that so that they didn't have to stand up and talk forever like Wendy Davis did in Texas. Like, she actually stood there and she got fined or violations. Like, she got 3 violations. Like, if she leaned against a desk, that was a violation because you had to stand on your own 2 feet and talk. Like, that's how it used to be back in the day. Like, you would just stand there and you would fucking talk, and then maybe you would turn it over to one of your colleagues that was going to keep talking. And the point was, the filibuster was to keep talking until people fell the fuck asleep or weren't around, and then you immediately called it. Like,
Hank Hill did it.
Huh?
Hank Hill did it.
Hank Hill did it.
Yep, I saw that episode. I understand this because I watch a lot of King of the Hill. I'm just throwing that out there.
Well, I also know that if we have a suit of armor, then we can rule the neighborhood. But that's also a King of the Hill thing. But yeah, like, I don't know. Mitch McConnell is such a... And the problem, as we said before, is that Mitch McConnell knows exactly what he's doing, and he does not give a shit if you understand what he's doing and don't like it. Like, he doesn't care. Like,
yeah, that's the thing I keep seeing. Like, there's been a lot of articles float or like clips I've seen floating on social media today that it's like Mitch McConnell got called out twice for his hypocrisy on these various news shows. And it's like one Fox News show interviewed him and he got called out for it, and then another one on one of the CNN or MSNBC, I can't remember who. Same thing. They said, well, but what about Merrick Garland? And you know, he goes on this big explanation, and the whole gist of it is like, he doesn't care.
Oh no,
that
not at all.
Like, that has nothing to do with it. He's still getting done what he needs to get done. He doesn't give a shit. And you know, look, even if he gets, you know, removed from that position, he just goes back to being another rich white dude with a bit less power. Like, he doesn't give a shit.
Yeah. No.
That's his
and
thing.
Actually, he kind of feeds on it. He really does
he loves
feed.
it. You can tell.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. I think people make a lot of jokes. That man is not stupid. He is smart.
Mm-hmm.
He is smart, and he is evil. But he's not dumb. The man is not dumb. He knows exactly what he's doing, and you can go back and read about all the shit that he's done over his career. He's very calculated. He's very observant. He has a really.
Well, he's been waiting for this.
Yeah,
he's been waiting for this position for his entire Senate career. Like, he's
got a
chomping at the
history,
bit.
which is scary. You know, of historical procedure in the government. Now, how he interprets that is where the problem comes. But like, if you say like, no, you can't do this, he'll immediately say, well, in 1887, like, he's not stupid.
You know that in a recent, this was the next thing on my little list here before we fucking talk about asshats and This Week in Awesome is, he was on fucking Chris Wallace, and Chris Wallace asked him, he's like, so if let's just say that Donald Trump, you know, let's just say in 2020 somebody were to retire, would you say that you can't appoint a Supreme Court justice because it's an election year? He's like, well, that just all depends on who controls the Senate.
Yeah.
Like it hasn't been fucking 2 years since he said, oh, we're totally not going to put somebody blah, 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 blah. Like, that level of hypocrisy is in, I mean, and I drink a lot. And
it's intentional. It's towing the company line.
Yeah, he doesn't give a shit. Like, he could go down, like, he could die tomorrow. Or let's say not tomorrow. Let's say 5 years from now. Let's just say Donald Trump, or let's put it this way. Let's say in my fucking worst heart of hearts, Donald Trump wins a second term. And then so in 2024, like the day after, you know, or 2 days before the 2024 election, Mitch McConnell drops dead. He will die with a smile on his face, knowing that he fucking crammed so many conservative judges up the court's ass that he didn't give a shit. Like, he won't give a shit. Like, that he will not worry about how many times he had no integrity and was totally full of shit and a person that should be just beaten with a manhole cover. He won't care.
Nope. Not a bit.
All right. So, all right, let's carry this over from the Purple Report to the Woodscast. Shay, we need to talk about This Week in Asshats, and then we're going to end with This Week in Awesome. I'm drunk. You're drunk. I've been doing this for about 2 hours.
Jesus Christ.
I know. It doesn't seem like that long, does it?
No.
Well,
that's because you and I are having fun. We don't have to listen to this shit.
I know.
We do not have to listen to this shit.
So many people ask us why we do this. It's fun. I always say that I get to talk to my brother at least once a week, and that is
literally the reason I give. Like, what do you do? I was like, well, I mean, we talk about a bunch of stuff, but it's basically an excuse to drink with my brother on the internet for a week.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
So, all right. So, This Week in Assets. You got any nominations you want to throw out there? You got anything you want to talk to your head?
Not off the top of my head. I mean, my always go-to is Jared Kushner, because fuck that guy.
Oh.
But I haven't. He has been suspiciously absent from the news lately.
Right. But for those of you that haven't been listening for a while, or listening, or actually in Shay and I's Facey Spaces and my book posts, we will have a impromptu party. We will go live on Facebook when Jared Kushner is indicted, because fuck that guy.
Yep, pretty much.
he is the definition of a man who was born on third base and thought he invented baseball. So, yeah. Like, he doesn't even think he just hit a triple. He's like, no, I invented this whole goddamn game. So fuck that guy. He's just funny. I got one that just happened. I had another one. My other one was going to be me, basically, as ass out of the week, because I started a Google alert for when Roger Stone was going to be indicted a couple weeks ago, and I forgot that fuckstick would talk to a ficus if it was holding a microphone. So I just got face fucked with Google alerts every time that guy talked to a reporter. So I was going to go with me, but I think I'm going to have to settle with our friend and, you know, philosophizer Kanye West, a.k.a. Yee now, delete his Twitter and Instagram because he was kind of tired from taking shit about his absolutely disastrous appearance on Saturday Night Live last week.
Holy shit.
Now,
that was bananas.
If you haven't seen the video after he gave his performance, which I have never been a fan of his music, so everybody talks about him being a musical genius. Shay, you still there?
Yes, sir.
You turned your video off.
Did not.
Well, turn it back on.
Let's see.
Yeah, so after his, what I would call shitty performance in music, like everybody says he's a musical genius. I've never liked his music that much. So when he dresses up as a ketchup bottle or whatever and sings a song, I'm not impressed. But after that, he like went on this pro-Trump rant and said that Democrats want to give out welfare to split up families and all this bullshit, and said he was bullied out of, you know, they told him backstage to not wear his MAGA hat. One of the other actors did a whole thing last night or the other night. He's like, nobody bullied him. Like, I actually should have bullied him because like everybody was offended. It was fucking stupid. He said that he wanted. He's later said in Twitter that he wanted to abolish the 13th Amendment. For those of you that don't have a constitution right in front of you, the 13th Amendment abolished slavery. So I guess Kanye West wanted to reinstate slavery.
What was his logic for that? Because I was trying to watch the video of his rant, but I didn't really make it. I couldn't like physically hear it. Like,
yeah, you couldn't hear it. It didn't make sense. His logic is that he's dumb.
Oh, okay.
Yes, he's very dumb. Now he's already stated he's going to run for president in 2020, or I'm sorry, 2024 after Donald Trump has had his 2 terms, but he has since deleted his. He said that on Twitter, and you know he's deleted his Twitter and Instagram. So the whole point of this is that Kanye West is still dumb, and he deleted his social media outlets because he was tired of being called dumb. So there you go. So I'm tired of this fuckstick that's apparently worth all these billions of dollars and is a fucking genius not being able to handle any criticism whatsoever. So fuck that guy. Fuck him a bunch. His shoes are ugly. I said it. There you
go. I'm gonna have to go if we're gonna talk about stuff that's great now.
Yes. This week in awesome.
Awesome. Man, I don't know who to thank, but I guess who really made that SNL cold open happen.
Which one?
The one with Brett Kavanaugh, where it's Matt Damon as Brett
Kavanaugh.
That's
so good.
And
I'm going to start out at 11.
Yeah.
I'm going to 15 real quick.
Lindsey Graham, or was Kate McKenna? She was incredible. That whole thing was fucking hysterical.
Yeah, that's good stuff. That's good stuff. I haven't seen this Saturday's where they apparently like party. Apparently, Kate McKinnon is Lindsey Graham. She says we're gonna Ralph till we boof.
That's amazing. Actually, you know, I don't want to make. I don't. It's not Brett Kavanaugh because I can't say that he is awesome. But I feel like this is a side note. We need to appreciate the fact that a discussion about boofing is now on the record for the nomination of a Supreme Court justice.
Oh yeah.
And look, I want to put this out there for everybody. Boofing is not farting. It is putting drugs and or alcohol in your butthole. Like that.
No.
There's no other use for it. That is what that is. and
actually,
it is
Shay,
amazing that I got to watch that on C-SPAN.
There has been a separate discussion. I believe this came from the Alex Joneses and the Sean Hannitys of the world. I'm remembering this off the top of my head, so don't hate me on my references here, but it's also been talked about that boofing is anal sex. Now, I don't know how that makes the virgin story. I was a virgin all through high school and into college story of Brett Kavanaugh any better, but it's also like stuff went in your butt, or you put stuff in somebody's butt.
Like I just that
there
I
was
can't
there was
believe
butt
it.
stuff.
I cannot believe that is on the record. That future generations of lawyers are going to be able to look over those transcripts and say, well, this is the part about boofing.
Yeah.
It's I mean, and you know what they say, if you can boof it, it's free. So what did this man boof to get his nomination? That is my question.
Well, there's also a separate entire story about this. Oh God, I don't know where the fraternity was. It was a fraternity that after the fact, the cops showed up at a party the next day, and there's just dudes laying on the floor, pantsless, and there's all these bags of boxed wine everywhere, and apparently they were just butt chugging.
Oh yeah, that's the thing.
They were just butt chugging boxed wine, and so that was an article I read, but the next day there was this fucking long ass. It was so great because you got 40 or 50 dudes in these really nice blazers and khaki pants, and in front of them is their lawyer talking about how all of these fine gentlemen did not butt chug this wine, and that lawyer, on national TV, this lawyer said butt chug 40 times. It was fucking hilarious. There's just framed. He's like, these young men are great. They've done a lot of service hours. They do not butt chug wine. And he just kept saying butt chug. It's like, will somebody just fucking tug on his sleeve and say, don't say butt chug? Because he was saying it on national TV. That was fucking hilarious. Well,
then I remember what you're talking about, and I've always had the belief that guy had a bet with somebody about how many times he say butt chug.
Yeah. Oh yeah. How many times to say butt chug? All right.
Man, you got to party. I have partied, and I have done some stupid shit in my day, but never once after any amount of alcohol or other intoxicants have I said to myself, I'm going to put something in my butt.
Right.
I don't where do you get to that point? That just, and I just don't get it.
I have been as drunk as, listen, as a person who has done the Century Club twice, I have been as drunk as anybody has ever been.
You want to define that for those not in the know?
For those of you not in the know, the Century Club is drinking 100 beers in 72 hours.
Oof.
And I've done that twice. I've been as drunk as I think I could ever have been. And one of the things I do a lot is I will be kind of tipsy or drunk, and I will make myself another drink thinking this one's going to just really fix me, sober me up. And then I will set it on the end table beside me while I'm watching something stupid. And then I will realize I need to go to bed, and I will look to my right and see a full, cocktail, and I'll go, yeah, I'm not drinking that.
Yeah.
Because I'm already drunk. I have never thought, you know what, putting that up my butt.
Hey Rachel, come here, check this out.
Yeah,
Let's see what I'm about to do. Do we have any icing pipette bags?
Yeah, that was never my go-to.
I
was I don't want to drink that. So I'm going to put it in my butt.
It's so ridiculous because I don't know if I just wasn't going to the cool kid parties or what. But never once was this suggested. Never was it something I heard of anybody doing. I knew it was a thing, but never once all through college did I ever encounter this. But somehow the Supreme Court Justice of the United States had this come up in his hearing.
That's awesome. All right, so my This Week in Awesome, and I'm sure you've heard this, I'm sure you've seen this, is that the Banksy art sale self-destructs as soon as it's sold. Did you see this?
I saw the headline, but I don't have the deets.
All right, so apparently Banksy, who is the graffiti artist in London, who has come to
pretty famous,
pretty famous, and I'm actually really, I looked this up. I thought they knew who he was by now, but they don't know who he is. Like, how in the fuck, like, some of these murals are big. Like, how in the fuck does somebody do that in this day and age and not get, like, at least noticed? Especially if you know somebody in London is doing this. Like, if you know there's an artist that's doing this shit on walls. I'm watching you Google it, and they still don't know who he is. But I was just fascinated that they still don't know who this guy is. I figured he would have been caught by now. Like, somebody had taken a picture of him doing one of the murals. I don't know how he does it, whatever. Apparently, he one of his paintings, one of his artworks, which is a little girl letting go of a heart-shaped balloon, which is very iconic of him.
Yeah, it's classic.
Yeah, it's very classic of his. Was sold for $1.4 million. You know, there's different articles to say it. But the second they banged the gavel to sell it, a hidden shredder in the frame shredded about 3/4 of the image. And I thought that was awesome. I thought that was great. And then just today I learned that he did this years ago. Like, that shredder has been in the frame for years. Like, this thing has been passed around for a while. Like, I now I have so many other questions. Like, what kind of battery did he put in it? Like, how did he trigger it? Like, there's people that think that he was accosted by security as he was trying to leave, but he was in the room and triggered it. Like, but a piece of paper that he had put a little girl releasing a heart-shaped balloon sold for, let's say, $1.4 million. And the second they banged the gavel on the auction, he was in the room and triggered a shredder in the bottom of the frame and shredded shredded the artwork. And it's so fucking hilarious that somebody paid $1.4 million for a piece of paper that had that on it, and B, that he was ready to shred the fuck out of it right there.
I am watching the video for this that I guess Banksy posted.
Yeah. All of him putting the shredder in it?
Yeah, and I was not aware of this, and I saw the headline and was like, that's got to be some play of words, but it is literally destroying itself.
No, there is literally a shredder in the bottom of the frame. If you look at the images online, you'll see the frame of the artwork is like 2 or 3 inches thick. So there's a lot of play there. And he literally put a shredder in the bottom of the frame. And they've apparently had this for a while. Like, had the artwork for a couple of years, and he was just waiting for it to go up for auction. Like, now see, my thought is, like, what kind of lithium battery you got in there? Like, I'm a nerd, I think like that. So, but, like, he was apparently in the room, and as soon as they banged the gavel, he triggered it. And that's just fucking awesome.
I mean, I have so many questions. So,
oh yeah, so do I. But he's not going to sit down.
From a logistics standpoint, like, okay, so it had a battery. How big is the battery? Like, unless, or it looks like maybe it's like it has to be plugged in and lit up. I don't know. Like, how does that work? Like, there's so much. I have so many fucking questions.
Yeah,
about
see,
this.
that's your easy out. Like, if you make sure that the frame has to be lit, then it has to be plugged in. Because that's your easy out.
If you look at it, it looks like the part that's like after they stop the shred, it's shredded half of it. The part that's still inside the frame and looks illuminated from behind.
That'd be fine, yeah.
And I'm guessing, like, and I also want to know where this thing came from. Like, how did somebody get this physical? Because the article here is talking about it appeared on the street in 2002, and the version that was rendered, that was sold Friday, was rendered in 2006. Signed, dedicated on the back. So did he just, like, give it to somebody, and it's been floating around since 2006?
I think what he did was just leave it out, or have somebody place it, or somebody place it and like, hey, I found this.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. It's like actually a lot of funny.
Oh, that's so good. And that's kind of like anyone that says like, well, he sold out. He said that, but
whatever.
Shred. Suck it, nerds.
Yeah. Well, and the funnier thing is that, like, the auction house has said that when an item is destroyed between the sale and delivery to the participant, or, whoever bought it, the auction is usually canceled. But they're not really sure if it's canceled at this point because they pulled it off the wall and took it in the back. So, like, if I was the person that paid $1.4 million, like, I'd say
that shit was canceled.
Well, no, I would. Well, actually, no. What I would do is I would want that back, and I would take that paper out and I would frame it differently, like shredded from halfway down. Like nobody else has that. Like that.
That's
that
actually
would
a good point, and then just resell it in your own frame. Yeah.
Right.
Sell the frame itself.
Or whatever. Yeah. Whatever. Like you have the most unique piece of art in the last. Oh God, I don't know anything about art, but let's say 50 years. Whatever. Yeah, I would say, I would, if I was the one that paid $1.4 million for it, and I was in the room, I'd be like, no, motherfuckers, keep that, that's mine. Yeah.
Or you just, because you know how at the end of the video, it shows it's like half of it's shredded and half it's not, frame and all, you take the entire thing untouched and put it inside of a larger glass case and sell it as a whole unit.
Yeah.
Put it in a Faraday cage so nobody will fuck with it anymore, I guess. Maybe that's how you have to do it.
Totally.
Don't plug it in.
Yeah, don't plug it in anything. All right, we've been going for a while now. Let's wrap this up. So
2.5
as we
hours.
said, I know.
Jesus Christ,
it's been fun. Well, and like that's a funny thing. Like we'll just keep talking, I guess. But a lot of the podcasts we've been listening to, or I've been listening to, started out at like 15 minutes, and now they're running into an hour and a half. Have you noticed that? Because you can just pause. You can pause it whenever. So why the fuck do you care how long it is, right?
Yeah, that's a good point. I often do that. I'm sorry. I'm like watching this video over and over again. I'm fascinated.
You're fine. No, but it's a thing.
It's a podcast. So you can finish it. Like I do that often. Like podcasts are 2.5 hours. I'm like, okay, I'll listen to an hour, pause it, and come back later. It's just like switching episodes on a show.
Yeah. All right. So as we've said, this is the Woodcast. We are transitioning from the Purple Report. If you listen to that, we hope you like listening to this. We have rambled on about a lot of shit today, but we hope you like it. In the future, it will Shay and I will be the core of this podcast. We're hoping to have what I like to call a rotating rogues gallery of asshats that will come on with us and talk about a lot of things that hopefully they're not qualified to discuss.
Yeah, I don't want an expert on here. There's no fun in that.
Yeah, there's no fun in that. We'll beat that guy up.
Fucking nerd.
We hope you like this. We love doing it. We really do. Like Shay and I said, like at worst case scenario, Shay and I get to shoot the shit for a couple hours, an hour and a half, whatever. And we don't get to see each other that often. So if you enjoy listening to us shoot the shit, we are happy to keep putting up these podcasts. And we hope that if we have on other guests and people of expertise that maybe have some purveyors of law that could give some insight that you enjoy as well. If there's something that you want us to talk about, have any questions or comments, hit us up at thewoodscast1776@gmail.com. Fuck Alex Jones and all his shit. You can also hit us up. You can find us on iTunes and Google Play under the Woodscast. You can also find us on Facebook. Where's our Facebook? What the fuck is our Facebook? Facebook, it's at Woodscast1776. You can find us at Twitter at the Woodscast. I'm sorry, at Woodscast the. And am I missing something, Shay?
No, I don't think so.
So we got Google, Twitter, Google Play, iTunes, SoundCloud. You can find us on SoundCloud at the Woodscast.
Word.
And also on YouTube. Forgot those two. All right, so we will throw these out either Saturday. We're going to record Saturday or Sunday or Monday, depending on our schedules. And we hope you enjoy listening because, as I said, we love doing it, and we hope to keep it going. Shay, say goodbye to the nice people.
Later, people.
A rubber band.